Alright, hello everybody, my name is Ishikawa, and I'm going to be running Ghost of Tsushima for the third time at ESA for you. The first one was actually Winter 22, where we did the Iki Island expansion, and then in Winter 24 I did a race against Elkir, another runner of the game, who mainly actually does the Horizon series. We did a race of this very category, and this is actually the first time that I'm going to do the whole 3-hour thing for you alone, so we'll see how this will go. There were a couple of incentives, polls, whatever tied to this, which we'll go over one by one when it comes to this. So first of all, we will be playing on the highest difficulty, which is lethal. And as it says right here, death is always close at hand. A single sword strike is lethal. And that is basically what it is. It's like mostly like a one-hit kill kind of mode. You can sometimes survive it, so it might be like a two-shot. But most of the time, think about it as that I will die in one hit. So that's fun. Then we had a donation or a poll for the language where I think like Japanese won by a landslide a little bit.
Yeah, let me double check this again, but yes, that is correct. We have Japanese.
We will be having true samurai cinema right here, but also keep in mind that we can toggle this on and off, or rather switch between this in the English one during the run. So, if you want to hear this in English at some point, keep your donations coming forward. But for now, we will start with the Japanese dialogue, and then we also need the name of the horse.
Yep. Let me check this again. And we have Sora.
Sora won. This is actually quite interesting because it rarely is Sora that wins here. So, yeah, that is fantastic. And once I actually confirm the horse name, that is when the timer will start. So, if everybody here is ready to go, then I would say let's start the run in 3, 2, 1, go! So Ghost of Tsushima released in, let me lie, August 2020, so about 5 years ago at this point, which is quite amazing to think about. It was one of the first games that I personally speedrun. Like, Trials of Mana Remake was actually the first one where I started speedrunning, and this was like basically the next game after. So yeah, this is one of the games, or basically the game that I've speedrun actively the most out of all of my games. So it's always fun, to go back to your roots, so to speak, especially at an event where you get to run this like this. We are playing on New Game Plus, so right from the get-go we have basically access to all of our upgraded equipment, like the armor, the upgraded katana, and of course all the ghost tools that you would normally get during normal gameplay. Which makes this run go by pretty fast. Now, the main reason why this category is the main category that is being speedrun is because only in New Game Plus can you skip the cutscenes. Even if you've played the game and you know what is happening here, we actually skip the whole tutorial because New Game Plus already puts you like right when the game, gets going properly, because you don't need a tutorial anymore or the prologue, when you're playing New Game Plus, right? You know what's happening here. Oh, it's actually getting dark in here. Woohoo! Now it's true gamer hours. Yeah, the game is definitely a bit on the darker side, that is for sure. So you can see here's all our armor. I will be switching to the Mongol Commander's outfit. This is normally an outfit that you get like very much at the end of the game, like somewhere in Act 3. And its special perk, or one of its main abilities, because all the armor sets in the game have like their own perk system attached to them. And the main perk for this one is that the enemies, the Mongols, are less likely to detect you, which makes all of the stealth missions, the mandatory stealth missions, like way easier, because you can basically run up right to a Mongol and they won't notice that you're actually not a Mongolian warrior. And especially at the start, we have quite a few of these stealth missions coming up. Yeah, if you're not playing this on New Game Plus, if you're actually doing a speedrun from a fresh save file, like I said, you have to do the prologue first of all, which takes about 40 minutes or so to get through. So, that's already like 40 minutes slower. And if you're playing a new game, you cannot skip any of the cutscenes. So a speedrun of the new game category takes us about like 7 hours. It's ridiculous how much more time just the prologue and the cutscenes in the game adds. Probably around 3 hours in total. And then of course you don't have all your upgraded equipment, all of your ghost tools and whatnot, and that is why all the fights obviously also take quite a bit longer. However, they are also more interesting. At least to me. Like, one of the things that I'm always a little bit sad about if we are running this category, any of the New Game Plus categories actually, is that the fights go by a bit too quickly for my liking, if that makes sense. Because as you will soon see once we actually get into battle, that the ghost tools are quite overpowered if you use them correctly. A lot of that actually comes down to our charm loadouts, but we will get over that when we get there. For now, we are doing our first quest here, where we are supposedly rescuing Yuna's sister, the woman that is accompanying us right here, from this slave camp. Because if you don't know the story of the game, what basically happens, Tsushima is an island that is roughly situated between the mainland of Japan and China. So the Mongols have staged an invasion. They want to, conquer the Japanese mainland, and they are basically using Tsushima Island as a staging ground for the invasion. So they have now invaded Tsushima Island. They have basically killed all of the samurai that were protecting the island, and are now the de facto occupiers of the island. And Jin Sakai, our character that we are playing as, is obviously, not okay with that, having his homeland be invaded like that, so he is fighting back and kind of starting to go against the samurai honor code by, assassinating people, striking from the shadows, basically more growing akin to a ninja, if you will, because, he has no other choice. Like, he's only a single man, basically fighting against a whole army, so he has to resort to, dirty tactics to be able to win, to even stand a chance against them. And that is a very big and major plot point going forward that we won't see that much about because, again, we're playing on New Game Plus. So we're skipping all the cutscenes. Now, we actually did a little bit of a skip, I want to say, here in this flashback section where we are supposed to trail this bear. And, you saw, there was a lot of fog going on there. And you're supposed to follow the bear a bit in an S shape. However, since we know where to go, we can just, instead of going like an S, we can just run straight through, and that obviously saves a little bit of time. And as you can see, all the Mongols, they don't really bother me too much. You can tell that, they are a bit suspicious of me, but they're not really doing a lot to try and stop me because they haven't wisened up to the fact that I'm actually not a Mongol, but a Japanese samurai. You saw that, with these white indicators here, and as soon as they would fill up completely and turn to yellow, then the enemies would be suspicious of you, and once that will fill up, it will go to red, and that is when they will enter combat. It's basically a bit like, stuff like Metal Gear Solid, if you've played that, with the caution meter in the top right of the screen, if you want to think about it like that. But yeah, it turns out that Taka, Yuna's brother, was actually not being held here, or he was being held, but that was already a couple days ago. So we actually didn't quite really fulfill our goal here, because we wanted to find Taka. We found one of these droids that was held captive there, but at least he was able to tell us where he was being brought to. And that is already the finish of the first quest of the game. Thank you. If you're gonna clap for all of them, there's quite a few of them. So yeah, between all these missions, it is an open world game, so there will be quite a bit of traveling that we have to do. Now, obviously, I'm a speedrunner. I've done this quite a few times, so I should know my way around. So basically, whenever I have to go ahead and open the map, that I've lost my way, which goes against my speedrunner honor, I guess. I don't know. So let's see if I can actually play the whole game without having to open the map. Unless I fast travel, mind you, that is still allowed. But yeah, obviously at the start, you don't have a lot of fast travel options unlocked. So we have to do this while we go there. Next quest will be with Sensei Ishikawa. It's one of my favorite characters, actually. He is this very old, archery master. And to be fair, he is a little bit full of himself. He is just so good that there is no rival to his archery, all across the island of Tsushima. And he knows it, and he rubs it basically into everybody's nose, especially Jin's. And they have this, budding but friendly rivalry in a way going on throughout the game. And it's kind of nice to see them getting, to grow to know each other a little bit better and, trusting each other throughout. However, he's a bit slow, and we have this a lot during the game, these walkie-talkie sections. You all know them from gaming nowadays, right? The sections where you are forcefully slowed down so your characters can have a bit of a walk while they go somewhere. However, when you jump, you can still go faster. So at this point, we're actually leaving Sensei Ishikawa behind because he's just too slow. He's an old man. And then we go to these guys, throw a bomb. actually kill them all at once. That gives us a new checkpoint that we can restart from, and then we have a little chat with Sensei here. And then he will look at these tracks, and then we can go on. There we go. So basically, the goal of this quest is his pupil ran away, that he was, teaching his way of the bow to. And he is fearful that, because the Mongol invasion went on, that she has been captured by the Mongols. So we are now investigating where she ended up. It's actually been a while since I've played this game in Japanese, I have to admit. Like, obviously, I do love samurai games, I do love samurai movies and stuff like that, so I am accustomed to watching them in Japanese with subtitles. I kind of just drawn to it. So obviously, the first time I played this game, I played this in Japanese as well. But then I actually learned that it had very good English casting. Like, if you play this in English, it is very good. Like, it is one of the best VAs that I have heard in gaming, for sure. So it's definitely a bit different now, because normally I am just now really accustomed to playing this in English. So it's taken me a bit aback that we're hearing the Japanese one, but it's still nice to hear every once in a while. But also keep in mind, this is something that we can actually change if you guys go ahead and donate for it, because that poll in Tiltify is still open. I know English has fallen quite a bit behind, so you do have to get quite a few donations to have that change made, but we can do that basically any time during the run. So let's get a bit of rivalry going on here. And I already hear the...
Want to hear it?
Sure, go ahead.
We have $10 from Anonymous without a message and going towards the Where's Waldo hard mode upgrade. So, yeah, they don't care about the language you're playing in.
I guess so.
Yeah, but I mean, you said it's going to take quite a few donations to switch to English, right?
Or a big one.
Or one big one, like earlier today on this very stream. I mean, holy, that was something.
Absolutely.
But, yeah.
But you can also, not only do you donate money towards charity, you also get a reward out of it if you do that. So if you were to basically snipe this from English all the way over Japanese in one go, I guess you could put this toward a pretty nice reward, I would say, to get something else out of it, like a T-shirt or something even better.
There are some nice rewards, yeah, T-shirts, pullovers, Logitech stuff. So just check out the rewards tab in Tiltify and you will see what you can get.
Absolutely do. Now here we are now, we think that Tomoe has been taken by the Mongols to this encampment here, so we will go ahead and see if we can, liberate it. So let's see how this goes. So this will be one of the first big battles that we will do. First of all, we grab all the resources that we can over here. And then we go way over here. And then we'll hit that. Okay, cool. This over here. Boom, this should have gotten rid of all of them. Yep. No, wait, there's still... No. As soon as you sound the horn, you know that... Oh, wait. Hmm? Oh, there actually was one over there. Okay, never mind. I think I saw another over there. Yep. Okay. Now this... okay. This is now a little bit messed up, but it's okay. Like, normally I should be at this door, like, right when it opens. Oh my god, he is not taking... So the thing is, I have a charm equipped. There we go. I have a charm equipped that gives me about a 30% chance to poison an enemy when I hit them with an arrow. The poison is basically an instant kill. And obviously I wanted that to happen against the Mongol commander that we were fighting here. Yeah, that's okay. And, as you saw, it just did not trigger. And that obviously, made this fight go a little bit slower than I would have liked to, but, sometimes it is what it is. And it's literally one of the main things that will happen in this run is just RNG. Like, everything is up to RNG. And that is because of how we are structuring our fights. Now, as you saw here, most of the, or basically any time we are in a fighting situation in one of the main quests, it revolves around killing every enemy before we are allowed to continue. Now, you could obviously go around and kill every single enemy off one by one, which would be very slow. So instead, we make heavy use of the terrify mechanic of the game. Now, the terrify mechanic basically means that an enemy gets, well, terrified, drops their weapon, and flees the battlefield, which makes them count as being defeated, because, you know, they're not a threat anymore. And that mechanic is basically what we build all of our loadouts around. Like, we are using the ghost armor, for example, here, which will be the armor that we use throughout most of the game, not all of the missions, as you see with the Mongols commander armor that we had equipped for the last mission. But for most of the mission, and basically any mission that we are fighting in, will be the ghost armor equipped. Because the perk or the main ability of the ghost armor is that whenever we kill an enemy, we have about a 40% chance that another enemy gets terrified. So, you know, we're basically killing two birds with one stone, if you will. And then we have loaded up the ghost armor to increase that chance. But not only that, we also have these bombs that you saw me throw on, the black powder bombs, which are basically our most powerful weapon in the game. Because not only do they deal area damage, we have a charm equipped that makes it so that when they do explode, they explode in a bigger radius. And they set all the enemies that are caught in the radius on fire. And then we have another charm equipped that makes it so when one enemy gets set on fire, another enemy has a chance of being terrified. And you can kind of see where this is going. And lastly, we have also a charm equipped that makes status effects, like burning, deal 50% more damage and last 50% longer. So, you know, all of that combined, when you throw a single powder bomb, you should basically see a chain reaction between all of the enemies where they start to just run away in fear. But yeah, also when you poison an enemy, usually you can't just do that through using the blowgun with a poison dart. However, the problem with the blowgun and the poison dart specifically is they take a while to shoot because, you know, Jin actually has to take a deep breath before he's able to shoot out the dart through the through the blowgun. And we have very little ammunition for it. And after a certain point in the run, you will trigger an unskippable cutscene if you use the blowgun to poison an enemy. So obviously we wouldn't want to do that. Yeah, unskippable cutscenes, kind of slow. So what we instead do is we have the ghost armor equipped with another charm that we have, you know, as I explained earlier, about a 30% chance to just poison an enemy by shooting an arrow at them. So obviously, whenever I shoot an arrow at an enemy, I want them obviously to get poisoned because then I don't have to, you know, follow up with another arrow to try and kill him. And, you know, he has a chance to terrify another enemy, and la-di-da-di-blah. So yeah, didn't really happen when I was trying to shoot that Mongol commander, sadly. Lost a bit of time there, but oh well, it is what it is. Anyway, we figured out that Tomoe was actually at that Mongol encampment where we tried to free her, but she has also joined the Mongols as it looks at the moment. However, we will not really find out what happens to her or Sensei Ishikawa in that sense, because we will not continue on that story thread, as it is like a whole, you know, side quest line, and it's not mandatory for the main quest. We are only doing the main quests of the main game here, and otherwise we would just, you know, senselessly lose time at that point. At this point, we are now on our way to Adachi Estate. There we go. To hopefully go ahead and recruit a couple more samurai, or the family of a samurai, to help us in the fight against the Mongols. The problem here is because I used my resolve to revive myself in the last mission, because I got downed. I don't have the yellow points as you see in the lower left there. That is my resolve. I would have needed 3 to be able to use a Dance of Wrath here and to instantly kill these guys. Instead, I had to resort to, you know, just killing with my sword, which is slightly slower. Really not that much of a difference. It would have just, you know, been a little bit faster. But yeah, as we find out here, the samurai family has been attacked. Nobody's actually here. And we now have to basically go ahead and try to find out what actually happened. But yeah, while this is going on, let me also remind that, you know, once again, there are a couple polls open, or donation incentives, if you will, for this run, all throughout it. You can change the language options, as we already talked about. But what you can also do is you can toggle Kurosawa mode on and on. You know, we talked about being, you know, or playing a samurai cinema game right here. Now, if you don't know what Kurosawa mode is, it is basically a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, Akira Kurosawa is basically a Japanese director of, you know, a lot of samurai movies, and because they're all pretty old, they were all shot in black and white, and it is basically a callback, if you will, to, you know, his style of samurai cinema. So we can play this whole game in black and white, if you would, which, you know, it is a very pretty game, so obviously you would like to see the colors, but it also makes it a little bit harder for me, because the colored indicators are also going to be in black and white, so I don't even know if I have to block or parry an attack, which that could be a little bit interesting if you want to see that. And it's definitely something that you should have seen at least once, I feel like. But more importantly, there is also a poll going on throughout the game about the fate of one particular character that we will decide at the very, very end of this run. So if you want to shape the ending to your liking, you know, get your donations in for that as well. Again, you have about 3 hours, not anymore, to be able to get your donations in for that.
A quick word about Kurosawa mode.
Mm-hmm.
It is currently set up as a target, not a pole.
Oh, okay.
So, do we want to keep it like that?
I mean, whatever you think is better. We can have it as a poll, we can have it as a target.
So currently we have it as a target at $100. So if you donate a total of $100, all collectively, then we will switch to Kurosawa mode for the rest of the run.
Ooh, we get the true samurai cinema experience.
Exactly. And also have Ishma not know whether to block or parry or whatever.
Yeah, that's going to be the real deal there.
I mean, of course it is. Hello? Do you know Twitch chat?
Fair, fair. I do know them. I do know them. They do love to have their incentives met. I'm actually kind of glad that we didn't opt to have the difficulty selection going on for this one, because we can all sometimes what I had with my run specifically is that you guys can donate if we're going to be playing this game on easy or lethal difficulty. And a lot of people say, oh, you know, you have to play on lethal difficulty, haha, it's going to be way harder for you. And then I'm going to come on and say, zoink! It's actually not the case. I think lethal difficulty is easier than easy difficulty. So I'm gonna play you like a fiddle. Because honestly, I am so used to playing this game on a lethal difficulty that at one point, because, you know, we have different categories for the difficulties on the leaderboards, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna try and do an easy run for once, see what more time would be there. And by the gods, I got owned so hard at the end of the run. Because the thing is, what lethal difficulty does, obviously, you know, as we established earlier, you take more damage when you get hit, but you also deal more damage to the enemies, actually. Like, it actually goes both ways, kind of like the, what's it called? Heaven and Hell mode in Devil May Cry, if you will. But lethal difficulty also makes all the enemies more aggressive, so they attack not only more often, but also faster. And if you're playing on easy difficulty, it really makes it feel like you're fighting enemies through molasses, you know? Like, everything is so slowed down, it just completely messed with all of my parry timings. Like, I was in one of the duels, in one of the boss fights, and I just couldn't handle it. Like, all of my timings were off, and I was just getting hit left and right. It was not a good time. So yeah, I much prefer playing on lethal difficulty, and that actually goes for a lot, if not all, of the runners of this game, that the lethal difficulty categories are way more optimized than all the other difficulties. Which is kind of interesting to think about, but man, it's just how we roll as speedrunners of Ghost of Tsushima. But yeah, going back to the game, we have now found Lady Adachi, which is the, well, basically the only one left of Clan Adachi, the samurai clan that we had hoped to recruit for our efforts here. And we are trying to find out, because her family was actually not killed by the Mongol invaders, but by traitors on the island. So we are trailing someone that she suspects has something to do with that. However, we are actually in front of him, and as long as we can make it over to that gate before the timer runs out, there we go. We actually don't lose him. Also, fun fact, we were trailing Sogen. Sogen is now behind us. But as you can tell here, he's talking to the bandits because we were supposed to trail him to come here. So I guess he has to be telepathic. So we can actually talk to the guys right now. And also you can probably see him come through right here over those rocks. Or maybe even not because it was that far behind. So I don't know how this works. But we have to do a standoff. I didn't check if I actually have ghost stands or not. I do not. So we could be able to skip this right here if I hadn't... Yeah, now we have ghost stands. Actually, yeah. Okay, I can still activate it. Because it is faster to do it like this than go through all the whole standoff there. Because it takes quite a while, and this gets rid of about the same amount of enemies. I'll take care of you guys, and then there should be more coming from right here. Who's left? You are. Oops, hello. Okay, and that was everybody. Nice. Okay, now we cornered him. I'm just gonna grab some resources real quick and find a list of conspirators that, you know, were probably responsible for the murder of Clan Adachi. And that takes care of this quest. Now, once again, this is basically... this one quest is mandatory for the main game. And then, of course, we would have a whole quest line, you know, surrounding, hunting down all the conspirators that were in league against Clan Adachi and getting rid of the whole clan. But we're not going to do any of that. We were just here to recruit Lady Masako for our cause, and that is enough for us. Yeah. Alright, and then we will get on a horse and make our way through the island. Excuse me. This is actually like one of the longest riding sections in the game, I want to say, because we do want to go ahead and unlock a couple of fast travel options for later. While we make our way over to Azamo Bay, where we will hopefully, this time around, actually find Taka, you know, Yuna's brother, that we were trying to rescue already at the start of the game, like in the very first quest. And this is another one of those things, like, I think this section in particular actually gone through a lot of routing and rerouting efforts to try and find the most optimal path. Because obviously we also want to go ahead and pick up a couple things along the way, because we don't really pick up a lot of supplies along the way. Now, supplies you can think of as the currency in the game, because, you know, we are basically in a war scenario right here. Like, money doesn't really hold a lot of value right now. People are like scrounging up supplies like food and whatnot to trade for their wares. So you're actually not picking up any money during this game. You pick up supplies which then are used as the currency to go ahead and buy like arrows for your bow and, you know, other things like that. But obviously you can also just go ahead and find a lot of that stuff along the way, which is obviously way cheaper. And since even on New Game Plus, yes, you still have access to all of your ghost tools and whatnot, but you lose all of your ammunition for them. So you literally start out with like 0 arrows, bombs, and what have you, incendiary oil, as we just picked up. So at the start, we are very much, you know, scrounging up a lot of resources that we can then use throughout the run here, because they make the fights go by so much faster. Another talisman, or... yeah, talisman that we have equipped. No, wait. Getting turned around here. Oop. There we go. That we have equipped is... I forgot the actual name of the thing, but it basically makes it... oh my god, horse, please. Makes it so that whenever we do a pickup, we get the double amount. Which is obviously really handy, but it is a chance. So... no, wait. That's not a chance. But some of the pickups that we do... has a chance of being double that. Like you saw that at the very start, if you paid very close attention, that I had 1 pickup of black powder bombs and I actually got 4 out of them. And that is because of the charm. I would have naturally got double the amount, but there is a chance that that base amount is already doubled. And that is why I got 4 out of them. And that is basically very lucky and kinda how you basically need to pick them up. And there's nothing you can do about that. Like, I don't want to say that that's like a hard reset point, like right at the start of the game, but it does make the early game like significantly easier if you have a couple more bombs that you can use at specific points during the run. Because again, the black powder bombs are by far our most lethal armament throughout the entire game. Yep. Shortly, we actually got one fast travel option right now, which was the village of Komoda here, which will go back like near the end of the first act. And we're gonna go ahead and pick up another fox then, like right at the top of this mountain here, which we'll use for the next, in 2 quests basically. You can hear that fox over there, it's a bit angry. And then we'll make our way down here. Horse, place. What is with that horse? It literally does not want to jump. Let's see if I can find my way through here, because it's a bit dark. Like, one of the things that really can throw you off is because the game has like a dynamic day and night cycle. It actually can be a little bit disorientating sometimes if you're not used to a specific time of day when you go through one of the parts of the area here. I think I'm a bit too far left actually at the moment. No, actually I'm too far right. Whoops. I want to go to that big rock that you see in the center over there. So it wasn't really like a very straight line, but we'll make do. Next up, though, that we will meet is one of my favorite characters in the game. It is going to be Kenji. Kenji is love. Kenji is life. He is very much not a great fighter. He, never takes part in any of the fights so far. But he is a renowned merchant and sake brewer, which he tells to everybody he meets. And he is a very fun character. Sadly, we won't see a lot of him during it on because we're skipping all the cutscenes. But if you play this game, we all know who Kenji is. He is perfect. So we actually rerouted this a little bit here. Previously, we were taking another route, and I think I'm way too far to the left. Actually, you have to be over there. Because we found out that we can start the next quest a little bit differently than we initially thought. And I do want to go ahead and show that off, but that means I do have to go the different route. As you can tell, I'm not quite used to this one yet, as the game has actually gone through quite a few reiterations of its routing. Like at the very start of at the very beginning, when the game just released, we didn't even have a New Game Plus mode. Like all we had was New Game, so we had to do the 7-hour monstrosity of a run like every time we wanted to speedrun the game. And that is basically how I started speedrunning it. And that was mostly done through John Shepard and his routing, and another runner whose name I can't recall at the moment anymore. I am so sorry. Those are basically like the very OGs of speedrunning this game. And then I will say I was like one of the second generation speedrunners of it. And here is the new thing. Like we have to go to this house over there. And I'm doing this very slowly and carefully because I'm not seeing it very clearly. I just want to show this off now. There we go. Got it. Because what the game actually just checks for is if any physical object like went through the door into the house. In this case, this was my arrow. And it actually triggers the cutscene that starts the quest. So I'm glad I was able to show that off. Like it was one of the last or the newest things that we have discovered with this one. Another fun glitch, I want to say, happening right here. So I will go to the very area now where I will just not leave behind my companions. Sadly, let's see if this is a bit more funny in English, but let's see what it does in Japanese actually. They will follow me. Okay, so we'll have this conversation. And they will keep catching up to me, and see what Kenji says about the whole thing. And that is a thing that actually only happens with Kenji. Like basically any time he follows you around during a quest and you go out of reach like that, for some reason only his voice lines repeat like this. We have no idea why. If the conversation skips to any other character and it gets skipped out because you run out of range, it will go forward in the dialogue to the next character that is speaking. Unless it is Kenji. Kenji always repeats his lines for some reason. So he is very adamant that some people try to fight back against the Mongols in this cutscene. It's always fun to show that off. So this is actually the only auto-scroller segment in the whole run, like the only break that we get during this 3-hour run. So, yeah, get a stretch in. Get some drink. And we will be on our way to Azamo Bay here. Yeah, like I was saying before, like John Shepard 104 was one of the very first runners of this game back, when we didn't have New Game Plus. I joined the speedrunning community a little bit later. We still didn't have New Game Plus, so I also ran like the 7-hour category for quite a while. And when New Game Plus released, like we all thought that, oh yeah, or John specifically thought it wouldn't be that much faster because he only subtracted the time it takes for us to skip the cutscenes, which is about 2.5 hours already. So it is quite a bit of time, It's not like it's not a big time save. But then I was like, no. We can do this way faster than we did on New Game, just because, we have all of our armor, we have all of our ghost tools, and that is basically when I started to popularize this terror mechanic, or the abuse of the terror mechanic, as we see here in the run. I'm actually kind of sad a little bit that I did that, because I very much do enjoy the sword fighting in this game, but we will very rarely see that happening anymore, because it's just way slower than, throwing a bomb on the run or an arrow or whatever it is. And just be on your way. Also, do not assassinate that guy. The enemies will obviously see you and you will fail the mission, because this is not a stealth mission. So we have to follow this slaver through the whole town of Azamo without him noticing us, or any other Mongol noticing us for that reason. So we have the Mongol commander armor equipped once again. We're making our way over these rooftops. Yeah, because I want to be a bit faster over here. Gonna go to the other rooftop and then get out the heavy bow and shoot this guy. Now you have to use the longbow with a heavy arrow to do this, because as you saw right here, I was kind of aiming for his head or his very upper body there, so he gets ragdolled into the back of the house. And that is so that the slaver doesn't actually see his corpse. If I would only had headshot him with a normal arrow, he would have died right here where he was. This guy would have seen him, he would have raised the alarm, and I was lost the mission. The reason we do this is, if we don't kill that guy, he will chase this woman out of the house and kill her outside, and then he will have a talk with the slaver, which just, loses your time, because this guy is not walking forward, he's just having a little chat. So not only are we saving an innocent NPC, we are also going fast. And we do like that around here. Am I not watching that over there? No. But yeah, there's nothing else you can do to speed this up anymore, so you are basically bound to, this guy going about his business. So I can just have a little chook here. Like, I have 2 flaming arrows. I don't have a single explosive arrow, but I do have quite a few of these black powder bombs, so that is good. And then on the other side, yeah, okay. We're not doing too bad on our resources here. Because that's also the thing what that lethal difficulty does. Whenever there are like pickups on the ground, like arrows and bombs and whatnot, it is random what you get and the amount that you get. Like, for example, if you pick up any arrows from the ground, that could be normal arrows or it could be fire arrows, and it could be anywhere between, I don't know, let's say 4 to 8 arrows or so, and the likelihood of that being the maximum amount of the pickup and the rare, like a flaming arrow instead of a normal arrow, is heavily reduced on lethal difficulty. So that's another difference between that and the lower difficulties. Like, if you were to play this on easy, you basically always get the maximum amount and the good stuff, but not so much on lethal difficulty. So it is always a little bit RNG, what's happening here. Again, that compounded with the terror mechanic, which is always just a dice roll if people get terrified and leave the battlefield, introduces a lot of RNG into the run. So you really have to, be on top of your game to always, survey the battlefield, see, okay, which enemies have you killed, which have been terrified and are running away, so not a problem anymore, and which are still the enemies that you have to take care of. Now, we have to wait for this guy to roundabout pass through here before we can just, drop down, because you have the Mongols armor equipped, and run to the other side of the market here. Wait for that, and now if I restart the checkpoint, yeah, we now, are back over here and skip the guy because he was on the other side of the big bonfire there, right over here to the end where he was. So that saves quite a few seconds if we pull this off correctly. Now, if you reload your checkpoint a little bit too early here, it can put you in a different spot, which is a little bit further back, and you might have just to try this again. So not a big deal, but obviously you want to go for that, first try. So now we've actually gone ahead and found Taka, Yuno's brother, excuse me. And we have to escape from Azamo Bay, because obviously, they found the corpse of the slave that we just killed in the cutscene. So we will quickly make our way out of there and evade a couple of Mongol patrols on the outskirts here. So yeah, I was the one that basically popularized, this whole terror mechanic setup, together with the Wicked Viking, who also ran the game quite a lot during that game, and we found, quite a few strategies and whatnot, where to go ahead and buy resources like the bombs and the fast travel options and whatnot. Together with Charlatan 11235, who also joined the speedrunning effort at that point. And we were basically like, the second generation of speedrunners for this game, if you will, and then like the last big addition, if you will, was Elkier. Like I said, very popular Horizon speedrunner of Zero Dawn, Forbidden West, and all the DLCs and whatnot. And he was really the one who took what we have made and just really, drilled down on the details. Like he found like all the little nitty-gritty details about how to optimize some setups even more, and where to shoot an arrow, where to throw a bomb, and when, and really maximize our output there. And he's also the current world record holder in this category, simply because like I said before, I did a race against him in this very category during ESA Winter 24. I won that race, and I was the world record holder in the category at that point, and I don't know why exactly, but like he did one mistake during that race that basically cost him the pole position, if you will. And he didn't want to let that slide, and he just really drilled down on the category since then. And now, but he has beaten my world record back then by about 5 minutes or so. But he really didn't want to let that one slide. However, I did beat his Iki Island record since then by, I don't know, 30 seconds or so. So, yeah. We're really trading like the records back and forth, which is a lot of fun. Alright. We have gotten Taka out of Azamo Bay. So that means we now have rescued a lot of, or not rescued, but recruited a lot of allies. So we will now go ahead, switch outfits again. No, this one. And we will go over here, yes. Because there are still a couple more allies that we want. Specifically, we've only recruited individuals so far, which, is nice and good. But we always need a little bit more manpower to command as well, because, with only a handful of people, you can start something, but you can't do much. And we have heard that some of the Ronin Straw Hats are around in this area fighting back against the Mongols, so we will see if we cannot help them or they can help us. Horse. Thank you. There we go. So here we will meet one of Jin's oldest friends, as he says himself, which is going to be Ryuzo. And of course, we will immediately be attacked by more Mongols. Don't have ghost stands already. Yeah, okay. I guess we have to do the whole the standoff once again. And you can already tell, how much time this takes, because it is, again, RNG, how quickly these enemies actually go ahead and attack you. It takes a little while. So if I were to just use ghost stands, I would have gone a little bit quicker, but oh well, this is. Kill these guys, then more come from over there. We throw a black powder bomb, and once again, it is random which of these guys get terrified. Ideally, all of them. No, this guy survives by just a hair. Okay, there we go. That wasn't the best, but again, you know, it's RNG. So it just is what it is. You just have to roll with the punches here. Another thing that you saw, I was trying to climb this little ridge there, and I got like knocked back down, and that is because with the bomb that I threw up there, I also triggered a hornet's nest. And of course, you know, they aren't really appreciative of me throwing a bomb at the nest, so they are stinging like each and everybody that is in range there. And I happen to be in range, and I tried to climb that ridge to the other enemies and kill them off. So yeah, I took a little bit of damage there, nothing too big, but you saw like this one guy that I killed at the end there who had like very little health left. So ideally he would have just died through the fire or something else, so I didn't even have to go up there. But you know, that's again just the RNG that can screw you over a little bit. Thankfully, I did hit most of the enemies with the black powder bombs, so there wasn't really a lot of cleanup that I had to do, if you will. But again, RNG is RNG. Now we're just following Ryuzo through back to his camp, and I guess during that time we can go ahead and have a donation be read.
Wonderful. We do have $10 from Code Alpha saying thank you.
You're welcome.
And yeah, thank you very much for that donation. I would thank even more if you had put it towards any of our pools or targets. However, unfortunately, you didn't, so it's 3/4 of a thank you. Okay, the last quarter you would have gotten if it had gone through any of our incentives, our pools or targets. But yeah, if you do donate, please do remember there's 3 tabs on top of the donations donation page on Tiltify: rewards, pools, and targets. And every donation you make can go to one or, well, rewards are more than one, but every donation can go to one pool and as well as one target. So and you can grab as many rewards as you want. So get your money's worth, and please allocate your money towards our targets and pools, because that helps us form the marathon.
And the great thing is, the money doesn't even get split or anything. Like, the full amount from your donation will go towards everything you put it to. And that, you know, it really helps us get all these targets, polls, and whatever met and make the runs even better than they would be if you wouldn't do that. Like, you know, putting it towards English, for example, at the moment.
Who would do that?
I was actually surprised how big the support was for the Japanese, you know, voice acting in this game. I mean, I can see why. Don't get me wrong. Just, you know, the amount that was put towards is like really caught me by surprise.
Yeah, but you know, we're samurai, so watashi wa nihon desu.
True, true. We do want the true samurai cinema experience. So yeah, as it turns out, Ryuzo's men are starving. You know, they're not finding a lot of food because the Mongols are hoarding all of it. So before they are agreeing to join us in our effort to try and liberate the island, they want us to help them like raid one of the Mongol forts that hopefully is hoarding a lot of food, as we have learned on the way there. So we'll see. We're now making our way over to where they are gathering to start their attack. And that is basically why we picked up that Fox then fast travel option like a little bit earlier, if you saw it. And we are on our way through the island. Now, the thing to keep in mind is also that Jin is hailed as like the best swordman like on the island. Like he basically has no rival in that regard. So, you know, Ryuzo isn't beneath that to, you know, just send Jin, or Jin even is volunteering to just go alone into that hideout, or not hideout, into that fort. And, you know, get everything set up and help the others get in. If he would, you know, go on that log, please. Thank you. Another thing, because this is the ghost armor, it also makes Jin harder to see somehow, which is why these guys don't immediately raise the alarm when we're just running through here. Guys are just too fast. Okay. This guy is very interesting. Like, sometimes the assassination prompt doesn't trigger correctly and you actually just attack him with your sword. It's not really much a time difference, it's just always a little bit weird when it happens. But yeah. we have now disabled the alarm system of the Mongols, so we are now free to light the signal, and then Ryuzo and his men will come in and we'll just clear out the fort here real quick. So we'll see how good or bad the RNG will be treating us here. Now the good thing is there really isn't no friendly fire in this, like quite literally, because I'm just gonna throw a bomb and set everybody in here on fire. This is actually a little bit bad. Okay, let's just not do that anymore. The thing is, you know, you saw me just light my sword on fire, and, you know, with all the fire things that we have, obviously I want my sword to be on fire because, you know, it deals more damage. Enemies cannot block your sword strikes when your sword is lit like that. It deals more damage and it terrifies other enemies. The problem is, if you set your sword on fire and then assassinate an enemy, what Jin does during the assassination... where are the enemies? Hello? What are you doing over there? Literally never seen them over there. Anyway, what Jin does during an assassination, you know, he grabs his little tanto, but puts his katana in his sheath. And if you put your katana in a sheath while it's on fire, obviously there is no oxygen there to support the fire, so it gets extinguished. And that completely wastes the incendiary oil that you just used to set it on fire. And that happened twice in a row, so I was like, you know what, I guess we're not doing that right now. So it actually was a little bit to my detriment that the enemies didn't notice me yet, so I was able to assassinate them. The problem also with assassinations is enemies can only get terrified if they are in combat with you. So, because I was able to assassinate them, I knew that the enemies hadn't aggroed onto me yet, like in any way. So I wasn't able to terrify those yet. So actually, what you want to do is you want to get into combat with enemies. Okay, I guess that was a bit too high. Well, that never happened before. There we go, that was better. So the enemies weren't aware of me yet, so I was able to, you know, assassinate them. And then that happened. And it's also, like, if you assassinate an enemy, other enemies just can't get terrified off of it. The same is when you use the ghost stance. So using the ghost stance is actually pretty slow, so we actually don't want to use that unless there's like a specific reason for doing that. Another thing you saw me do there is, as long as you are in combat, you actually cannot interact with anything that would advance the scenario, like, for example, the boat that we used to hijack here to get to the ship. However, if you use a smoke bomb, which, you know, de-aggroes all the enemies, then you are technically out of combat, and then you can interact with anything that would advance the game. So we do want to stock up or keep, you know, a steady supply of smoke bombs so we can actually go ahead and do that. Okay, we're waiting for the user to open the door. When he opens it, we count from 3, 2, 1, throw. That should catch everybody in the blast of the bomb. This guy gets terrified. Go over here. Duck down, wait for the guys to walk the plank. Throw the bomb. And then we have to see who of these are still sticking around. Okay, it's this guy. Alright, good fight. You can really see how powerful the black powder bombs are if you use them correctly. Like, I literally only had to do a single sword strike to get rid of, I don't know, like 8 Mongols or something right there. They are really a great asset. So, please don't hit me. Okay, cool. You'll open the door for me. Thank you, good sir. I'll make our way over here. This is where we use the blowgun to kill this guy. Oop, there we go. And done. You can kind of, you know, hear him die while the cutscene is playing there. But yeah, the thing is, we didn't actually find any food on that ship because the Mongols were actually taking it somewhere else. So, what we did find, though, were some supply lines, or a map that shows the Mongol supply lines. So Ryuzo and his men now know where to go to find food. And that is apparently good enough for them. You know, they can go ahead and secure their own food now, so they will join our efforts when it's needed. Okay, and with all of that done, we can now go to Komatsu Forge and try and liberate that, because, you know, now we have the people. We also need the weapons. And Komatsu Forge, as the name suggests, has the biggest and best forge on the island of Tsushima. So, of course, it is a very valuable thing for us to go ahead and try and liberate. So we will go and, you know, kill all the Mongols here. That should have been all. So one fun thing that can happen sometimes, especially with these guys, they respawn. We are still not quite sure why that is happening, because it doesn't happen if you watch the cutscene. Yeah. It's like really a bit of a mystery what I think is happening, because, you know, the game initially wasn't programmed in a way that you are even able to skip any of the cutscenes. However, even then we found a way around that. What we did was not whenever, like in some instances, you are able to kill Jin the moment a cutscene would start, and yeah, the game can play a cutscene when your character is dead, obviously. So what it would do is it would load an autosave, and whenever a cutscene gets triggered, it actually creates an autosave after the cutscene. So, you know, you die while triggering the cutscene, and then it would load the autosave that is after the cutscene, and that is how you could skip cutscenes when we weren't, you know, naturally able to skip cutscenes on New Game Plus. And this is basically what the game does on New Game Plus. Instead of you skipping the cutscene, it actually loads an autosave that is after the cutscene. And I guess it doesn't properly keep track of... oh, shit. No. Okay. This is a problem now. Okay, where's your friend? Oh, okay. Wait, he actually got... I assassinated that guy, and the other guy got terrified. What? Well, I hate to say it again, but this never happened before.
Who said it?
At least I have never seen that before, and I've been speedrunning this game for 5 years. Anyway, we need to rescue more people, so we'll go down here where they are shooting, and we are throwing bombs. I missed the big guy though. Not for long. There's actually a bit of a route change here. Normally we would go around the next patrol. But what we do instead now is, once again, equip the Mongol commander's armor and just run through all of them. Because a bit of a problem is here, if you get into a fight now with any of these guys, because you are accompanied by NPCs, you would have to kill the enemies. Because, you know, your NPC friends would stay in combat and be a bit of a nuisance right there. So we do have to, you know, sneak past all these enemies, or we would have to kill them all, which would obviously be not so great. Uh-oh. Are you guys still coming? Yeah, this is exactly what I mean here. Like, she's getting threatened by that guy. Okay. Alright. Guess I was a little bit too slow in getting there. Okay, once again, change our armor. And then we still have to find or rescue more people that are holed up around this town here. So we'll quickly make our way over there, grab a couple more resources along the way. And then we have to do some very precise bow shots, so see if we can get them. We actually don't have to talk to Yuna here, that is completely optional. Okay, got him. And didn't get them though. Second try's good enough. Kill this guy. Ah. Why was he afraid of me? Normally I should have been able to kill the guy that was on the ground, and then I could, you know, this other guy would just run away. Okay, he completely missed me. Well, it works for me. I am the ghost, quite literally, apparently. Okay, now we have basically gathered everyone, and what will follow is like a big battle across or around the forge. And that is basically like a wave-based fight. You have to kill each and every enemy in every wave in order to, you know, progress and win the fight. Now, the good thing is that it's basically set in stone. We all know where all the enemies will be coming from. I just have to, you know, be on the lookout for when enemies get terrified. So I know which enemies to still, you know, take care of. So we'll see how this goes. So first of all, will be a big group that is coming right at us. Oh yeah, Taka is lighting the forge so the Mongols know that something is up because the forge is being lit, so they all come to investigate us. And that's basically our plan, you know, draw them all here to a battlefield that we can control. There they come, we throw a bomb. Okay, hit everyone, good. Then Yuna should be able to take care of the archers up there. In the meantime, we can go over here and kill these two guys, or at least one of them. And they come down, cool. Then we have to go inside the forge because people are coming from over here. Also killed the dog, perfect. And then yeah, there's one more guy coming. Nope. Coming from over here. And there will be some archers coming from both sides, so we start over here. Kill them. He doesn't get scared of it. Oh, he did get poisoned though. That's cool. There are more archers over there. Where is Yuna? Kill him. There should be more enemies coming from up the ridge there. I'm gonna throw a bomb at them. Should hopefully scare all the others away, and then we're just waiting for the Mongol commander that should come from somewhere now. Where are you? There he comes. And then we use a poison dart. I don't have a poison dart. Oh, sure. Alright. Guess we're doing this the old-fashioned way. I guess I just didn't pick up enough of these. Because as soon as this guy dies, why are you not running away? Hello? Okay, there we go. Yeah, again, the Mongol commander is like the, you know, the big commander that we have to kill in order to advance here. Normally, I should have had a poison dart here, which would instantly kill him, but I guess I didn't pick up enough of them earlier somewhere. So yeah, I just didn't have a single poison dart at this point. Because I really only picked up the one that I used against the axed guy at the end of the other quest when Ryuzo was on the ground. Hang on. Had to kill him with a sword. Still was quick enough. But yeah, if you had poisoned him, there was a high chance that the other guy, the archer that we killed at the end there, would have just run away. So I also had to go ahead and, you know, take care of him manually, if you will. But yeah, now we have done, like, you know, all the, or most of the quests that we did up until this point. We could have chosen the order off. And the reason we did the order that we did them in, obviously, is because it's the fastest one that we have found so far. There are 2 quests left now in the the first act of the game, and these are all like in sequence. Like you can only start this quest right here if you've done all the others that we have done so far. And this is where we'll get the iron hook, as the quest is called. Which is a very nice tool that we will use throughout the game. Quite a bit, actually. An iron hook. There we go. Right, now we meet Ryuzo again, and he's telling us that, you know, he's run into a bit of a snag. Like, the map we gave them with the supply lines, that, yeah, they did find food, but it was very well guarded. Guarded so well, in fact, that half of his men got captured. As he's telling us right here. And once again, this is one of these, you know, I like to call them walkie-talkie sections, where your characters are just having, you know, a bit of a chat while you are walking around and, you know, loading in the environment and whatnot. And if I was gonna say I can't run. I actually can run here, which is because I was too close to him. Basically, what you can do is you can jump, because for some reason your jumping movement, I would say, is not slowed down. your movement speed would be heavily slowed down if you're on the horse. Normally you can't run during these sections, but you can still jump, and that is faster than, you know, just walking it out, so to speak. So whenever you see one of these forced walkie-talkie sections, you will see me get off the horse and just jumping along the ground, because, you know, it's just faster to do it that way. The problem is you can't go too fast, because if you actually leave your companions behind, after a while, if there is enough distance between you, they will just, you know, stand in one spot and wait for you to come back and re-engage in the conversation. And that is obviously way slower than just having the conversation in the first place. So you really have to, you know, keep an eye on it, that you're actually not going too fast during these sections. Which definitely can be a bit annoying. I'm not gonna lie. Especially like a couple sections that are later in the game, which are just like, oh god. It's so easy to lose some of these NPCs, because you're also not, you know, always having the camera centered on them, because obviously you want to see where you are going. But if they are behind you, you obviously would have to turn around the camera, and then you can't see where you're going. It's like, what do you want me to do, game? But yeah, we're now going to go ahead and meet up with the rest of Ryuzo's men that didn't get captured, and try to formulate a plan how we can get the others out of Fort Yatate, which is on like a mountain. So not that easy to get to. Alright, now we just have to wait for Ryuzo to turn around on his horse. And there we go. So you can see it right here in just a moment, like the horse will slow down. And I won't be able, like right here, and then I will just get off the horse and jump along the way for the rest. But once again, there's one of these sections where it's very easy to leave your other friends behind, and then we will start to lose time, so just make absolutely sure that they're actually still following us. Like, it's especially egregious when you like cut, you know, try and cut corners where you can gain like a lot of distance to your allies, and then you can very easily leave them behind like that. And at this point, this is where they will stop, so I will just call my horse already. And then we can go ahead and try out our Iron Hook. We have to leave the horse here, because otherwise you would get slowed down again. Because the game expects you to, you know, travel on foot. Then you can kind of see how this is the introductory mission for the Iron Hook, because there's a lot of these white and red stripes that are now covering the island, like quite literally. They are everywhere now. So kudos to whoever, you know, set all of these up. Must have been quite the workout. Okay, up here. But you can kind of probably already see why nobody would really expect anybody to make this track over here. Which is why the back entrance, so to speak, of the fort is not guarded as well. Okay, now we're here, we're gonna shoot this guy. Okay, he actually got poisoned. Good. Quickly assassinate you. Hopefully we can make it to that guy before he turns around. Yep. Boy. Shoot this thing up there. That should set another guy up there on the tower on fire. Gonna kill you. Free our friends. Get rid of you. You are already terrified. Okay, cool. Assassinate you. 3 more friends. Assassinate you. Throw a bomb. That was weird. Okay, and then we just do a little bit of cleanup here. Most notably this guy. And oh, that was everybody. Alright, yeah, you can kind of see how, well, dare I say, overpowered the Terrify mechanic is if it just, you know, triggers all of your actions. Coming up is my favorite bomb throw in the game, if I can get it right. So let's see. Because you can see all this, you know, this mosh pit of Mongols going on over there. So we're just waiting for them to congregate on our friends. Ow. No, 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 no. Okay. He wisened up to me. Okay, I actually have to go ahead and revive this guy now. Because yeah, if you time it correctly, you can basically kill every single Mongol right here with one bomb throw. And it is immaculate. I still got most of them. Like, I think it was only this one guy still standing there. Because the archer saw me and actually was able to shoot me. I think I just, you know, hesitated a little bit too long there, which he was able to loosen that error, but, you know. Alright, and that is the Iron Hook, and with all of that done, we are already on to the last quest of Act 1. And that is, of course, you know, a pretty big one. Quite a few things going on there. But first of all, we get on the horse. There's actually like a DLC thing, like that is actually, you know, what the thing in the category discussion says, like with the DLC, because like roughly a year, I think, after the game released, they released the Iki Island DLC. And we are not going to be playing the Iki Island DLC, but what we mean by with DLC is that we will also be using, or that we have previously played the DLC, so we have access to all of the charms and all of the other upgrades that we would be able to get from Iki Island, that they are, you know, allowed in this category. A very important one is the saddlebags. The saddlebags basically allow you to double your item capacity. Like normally, for example, you would only be able to carry 5 black powder bombs. And yes, I only have 5 black powder bombs now. But if I pick up, let's say, a 6th black powder bomb, it will be automatically put on in the saddlebag of the horse. And the horse can basically carry the same amount as a Jin can. And whenever you actually get on the horse, you auto-replenish every single tool that you have that you are not at the maximum amount. So if I were down to, let's say, 3 black powder bombs and the horse had 2, it would automatically give me another 2. So I would be back up to 5. And of course, you know, there are a couple other charms and whatnot that we are using. Like, I think actually the one that doubles the amount of pickups that we get is from the DLC. Actually, not quite sure anymore. It might be base game, but oh. Alright, in this section, we're just running right through here, and as soon as the indicator turns yellow, throw a bomb. Otherwise, these guys would see me, raise the alarm, and I would game over. Just gonna grab over here, and our goal is to kill these 2 guys. Okay, kill them. That's the first section done. Then we have to kill some enemies together with Lady Masako here. Oh, didn't want to activate photo mode. I know the game is very pretty, but I do have to kill the Mongols here. Where? Okay, that was everybody. And that is how quickly the fights in this game can go. One good throw. Should hopefully get rid of all of these guys, and it did. Yeah, as you can see, like the black powder bombs, like with all the talismans that we're using together with them, are just completely busted. Like that is also the thing that you have to really keep in mind over the course of your run. Like how many of them are you actually carrying at any moment, and you know when and where can you use them. Like the next best thing would probably be the explosive arrows. The explosive arrows though don't deal quite as much damage, so even though you were to shoot an explosive arrow into an enemy group, they will probably still survive it, so you have to do a little bit of cleanup, so to speak. Another thing here, I could have air assassinated this enemy. However, you really do not want to do the air assassinations because once again, they would trigger oh hello, an unskippable cutscene, which we obviously do not want to see. I figured he would go for you over there. Shouldn't matter too much, hopefully. Where are all of you guys? Can't leave it like that. Need to put on the proper colors. We are actually changing our armor here. And that has a very specific reason, because we actually have a boss fight coming up. The first one on the run so far. And obviously, you know, we can't terrify our enemies. We can terrify our enemies, but not the bosses. So we switch to the Sakai armor. The Sakai armor is basically... it increases your damage by quite a lot. So, you know, in a fight where you can't have the enemy run away, obviously more damage is always helpful. And then we always use the Dance of Wrath. Now, the Dance of Wrath is a special ability that you can unlock during playing the game. And it costs 3 of your resolve points, and it deals unblockable damage, which is obviously very good during this section. Okay, he did actually run away. And that really trivializes basically all the duel/boss fights that we have to do throughout the whole game. Like, we always just have to make sure, okay, do we have our 9 points of resolve? We have a maximum of 10, so we don't even need all of them. But as long as we have 9 points of resolve going into any duel, the enemies just melt. Which is, again, a thing that actually makes me pretty sad, because the duels are one of the best points of the game, for sure. And, you know, the way we just trivialize that really makes me sad every time I have to do it. But, yeah, it's in the sake of the speedrun. What can you do? Okay, get rid of these guys real quick. Picking up a couple things along here. Because the goal of the first act of the game is to rescue our uncle, Lord Shimura. And he is being held prisoner at the top of the tower here. That's where we're making our way. Alright, and there he is. Now, before we can end the first act, of course, we have to drive off the last bit of resistance out of the castle here. Oh, hello. But you're not. Thank you. Of course, the guy at the far end didn't run away, because, of course, why would he?
Sensei.
And then we have a couple more enemies storming through the gate here, but a single well-placed bomb should get rid of most of them. Alright, and that was the first act of the game. Shadow of the Samurai. Is the Shadow of the Samurai just a ninja? Donate and let us know.
志村様なら資格だよ。
But yeah, between all the acts, there is like, I like to call them like transitionary quests, where you're not technically in Act 2 quite yet. But you also, you know, just ended Act 1, and that is A New Horizon right here. Where we are now actually, you know, able to meet up with our uncle and have a bit of a chat. And talk war tactics and whatnot, like how are we actually able to, you know, reclaim our island from this Mongol invasion that hasn't happened, because, you know, the rest of the island is obviously still being occupied by the Mongols. Just because we have rescued Lord Shimura doesn't mean, you know, that the Mongols just give up. Quickly making a stop by the shop here, because obviously we went through a lot of our resources. A bit of shopping here. Always top up on black powder bombs. A couple of kunai. Still have enough of those, but yeah, incendiary oil. We're running really low on that. Okay. And then we can have a little talk longer with our uncle still. Now we have to be a little bit mindful of what happens here, because you are now supposed to, you know, ride out of that gate that you can already see there with your uncle. However, sometimes, you know, the AI can get stuck on the gate, so we have to keep an eye out for him if he actually gets stuck at the gate or not. And I think he's made it. Yeah, okay, good. We can continue the run. Because otherwise, I think you actually have to reload the checkpoint, because he does not get out of that little dead end he maneuvers himself into. Which is always fun if it happens during, you know, World Rocket Pace run. Yeah, this is like another really long walking, talking section here, where we try to stay in front of Lord Shimura if we can, because he can actually boost us a little bit along the way with his horse if we manage to get in front of him, but I didn't quite get it. Yeah, it's pretty much like a winding path, and you want to go the fastest way possible if you can. But yeah, Mark, while we're doing this, do you want to quickly update us on some of the incentives coming up for the next game?
Oh, absolutely. So now that we got to know Lord Shimura, let's talk about, you know, that poll for the end of the game. Currently, we're sparing Lord Shimura with $272.45.
Damn.
Versus $55 towards killing him. So, yeah, it's basically $220 to reverse that decision.
Alright.
I don't know the game enough to, you know, to make a statement whether or not he deserves to not be alive at the end of the game. But I guess people out there will know. You may let them know. Whatever takes their fancy.
Well.
And also, I do want to remind everyone that we still have the target, the $100 towards the Kurosawa mode, so that Aishma has to continue playing this game in black and white.
Yes.
So please get your donations in for that. Do not forget to allocate your money towards the target and the poll. And it's back to you.
Make me suffer. Like, I will make these Mongols over there suffer, hopefully. Let's see. Okay, first arrow hit, that's good. Yeah, when it comes to sparing or killing Lord Shimura, yeah, let me quickly get rid of these guys, then I will finish my sentence. Should be good. What we do in the community usually is, you know, it's basically the last input of the run when we call time. And what we usually do is we spare him if we did not get a PB, and we kill him if we did get a PB, because, you know, we save the frames, so we kill the animals, if you will. So by making me spare him, you're basically telling me I will not PB during this run. So we'll see about that.
Are you referring to your uncle as an animal?
Maybe.
I mean, we're all mammals, so sure, I guess.
Alright. Once again, we'll liberate a fort from Mongols. There are some explosive barrels over there. If I can hit it. Nice. Okay, that's... Not everybody got lit on fire. That's not so nice. Especially the guy that I want to be lit on fire. Alright, go back. What are you? Oh no, you are a lance user. Oh my god. There we go. Give me your resolve. Thank you. So one thing that we haven't really talked about because it wasn't really necessary so far are the stances of the game. There are 4 stances that you can use. And every stance has pros and cons associated with it. Still anybody standing? Oh, there is. Why is it always the archers that survive, man? Where even is he? Oh no, it's you! What? There we go. Okay. Yeah, there are 4 stances. We have the stone, water, wind, and moon stance. You generally want to use the stone stance against sword-wielding enemies. You want to use the water stance against enemies with shields. You want to use wind stance against enemies with spears. And then the moon stance is really good against the, you know, big dudes with the axes, for example. Generally, though, the water stance is the stance that is used the most because it is like really the best all-rounder stance. Because it has like a series of 5 very quick attacks that deal quite a bit of damage. Even though if you were to use that stance against enemies that, you know, the water stance is not necessarily good at. So mostly during the fights you will see me use the water stance for that reason. However, the stone stance, for example, is really good in, you know, quickly dispatching some of the enemies. But they do not, or if they don't have a shield, basically. Because otherwise they will just block your strike. But it can basically be a one-shot if they don't have a shield, so yeah. One thing to think about. Alright, now that we have liberated this fort, we will meet our new best friend. Because, you know, if you've been paying attention, we fought Ryuzo at the end of Act 1. He has betrayed us. He has joined the Mongols. But now we will meet Norio. And Norio will become our new best friend. Hooray! There he is. Everybody say hi, Norio.
When will he stab you in the back?
Well, technically, we will stab him in the back.
I mean, that's fair too.
Because of one simple reason here. You know, Norio is very interested in telling us, you know, something here. However, we will call our horse. Yeah, Norio, we know. Bye, everybody say bye, Norio. Because we will basically not see him again for the rest of the run. Like, he is the only one of the quote-unquote main characters whose side quest line doesn't have a mandatory main quest line tie-in, or however you want to describe it. You know, previously we did, like, you know, the first step during the quest line for Sensei Ishikawa and Lady Masako, and then, you know, Ryuzo and Yuna as well. They all had, like, their first part of their side quest line be a main quest in the game. Norio is the only one of the main characters who doesn't have that, so we will never do any of his quests. Which is really sad, because he really is one of my favorite characters in the game, but, yeah. In the sense of going fast, we will not do that. But I do see that we do have a donation mod, so...
Yeah, I just realized that myself. I did not hear the notification sound. So we have $5 from Krumpurai. Wonderful name, wonderful name.
I wonder who that is. Could he be sitting behind me?
I have no clue who that could be, but that person better realize that they did not put that money towards any incentive for poll, and you know, yeah. However, Krumpurai does say, pretty sure a samurai using tools of subterfuge, distraction, and any means to win is a ninja. A ninja?
Ninja-rai. I mean, yeah.
But yeah, thank you very much for that donation.
Thank you. I mean, that's like the thing with this game, like in general, right? Like, it is touted as like a very big, you know, AAA samurai game. But it really is more of a ninja game if you really think about it, because, you know, I alluded to it near the beginning of the run that because of the way that it all plays out, you know, Jin being kind of a one-man army against the whole Mongol invasion. And he having to start using subterfuge and everything at his disposal to be able to fight back against the Mongols. He is kind of abandoning his samurai code more. Oh my god, horse! He is kind of abandoning his samurai code more and more over the course of the game, and that puts him horse quite at odds with the rest of the samurai, and especially his uncle, Lord Shimura. And that is like really a big plot point of the game. And yeah, basically at the end of the game you could make the point that yeah, he's not a samurai anymore. He is a full-blown ninja at that point.
I mean, he is doing the sneaky stuff a bit too much for being a samurai.
Yeah, he surely is. He surely is. But hey, you know, if you're playing this casually, you can still, you know, do the samurai stuff where you do fight honorably and just, you know, like knock down the front door of all of the forts and just go ham on all of them. It still works. But
where's the fun in that?
I did that!
I mean, you're a samurai nerd. Of course you did that. Come on.
But yeah, there are, of course, you know, certain things in the game, like especially some of the quests where you still have to do the stealth stuff, because otherwise there's just no way through all that. So it still makes sense, you know, in the context of the narrative that Jin is becoming a ninja more and more. Speaking of, we are making our way over to Umugi Cove, which is like a smuggler's den hidden in this, you know, swampland. Because now that we are in Act 2, we basically have 3 main objectives that we are pursuing. One of them is actually getting a message over to the Shogun. Because, you know, we are on Tsushima Island, and the Shogun and most of Japan's fighting force obviously are residing on mainland Japan. And they have absolutely no idea what is actually transpiring on Tsushima Island, because, you know, this is like 13th century stuff. So, you know, there were no phones or anything. That they could just, you know, quickly inform the mainland about that. And the Mongols were smart enough to blockade any and all sea traversal from Tsushima Island to the mainland. So yeah, the Shogun and any of the other samurai on the mainland just have absolutely no idea that Tsushima Island has actually been beleaguered by the Mongols. So we are trying to get a message out to them and tell them, hey, we need help. You know, we can't do this on our own. Please send more warriors. That is basically what we are trying to do here by finding Goro, who is like a smuggler and knows a way off the island, so to speak, if we are willing to help him with that. So he can send a message from Lord Shimura to the Shogun. The second main objectives that we're having will be to basically raise an army. Because, you know, we have a couple people now under our command. The Straw Hats betrayed us, so we can't, you know, rely on them. But we need, you know, more able-bodied fighters basically under our banner to be able to fight back against the Mongols. So we have to raise an army somewhere on the island. And then the third one is to claim basically Jin's heirloom, the armor of Clan Sakai, that he actually was not wearing riding into the fight against the Mongols at the start of the game for various reasons. And, you know, obviously now that things have come to a head, he needs or wants to reclaim his family's armor to, you know, properly represent Clan Sakai in the fight against the Mongols. And that will be our 3 goals for Act 2. And I think I jumped... no, okay, it was still the right one. Okay, cool. So we have found Goro, so we now have our smuggler... Oh my god. Horse. Please! I guess I went a little bit too far through the water there. Okay. Okay. I don't know if you saw it on the projector or not, or on the feed, but my monitor just cut out for a couple seconds. Oh, I mean, it's okay at the moment because we're just riding from one end to the other. But let's hope it doesn't keep happening. Right, we found Goro to get the message delivered. And now we will tell Lord Shimura about that. Because we still have to, you know, get Goro off the island. So we can actually go, or rather, first of all, Lord Shimura has to give him the message. And then we have to find a means that Goro can actually, you know, get off the island.
You know, I think your monitor just want to tell you that you're basically halfway through your estimate.
Maybe, maybe. Good thing that Act 1 is actually the longest act of the game. So that is totally fine. Yeah, you can kind of see the Mongol fleet there in the bay. Like one of their warships. Blocking off any other vessel that would even dare go near it. And we have to find a way through that. Once again, we're doing a little bit of a jumping advance here. So people can go. Now we actually have a soft lock potential here because we need all of the people that were on the horses to follow us here. Okay, everybody's actually coming along. Good. We need Goro, Lord Shimura, and the other two samurai. And sometimes one of the samurai can just get stuck between the horses there if they dismount at an unfavorable angle in the bend there. And it definitely has killed a run of me. Like, you know, not completely killed, but you had to reload a checkpoint. And at that point, you're just losing so much time that it kinda kills the run. Now, thankfully, that didn't happen. And now Lord Shimura decides that, you know what, we're two samurais. We can take a fort all on our own, which is, alright. Pretty self-confident, but let's see how that works out. Okay. Once again, throwing a bomb. Gets rid of most of these guys. Can throw another bomb. They are not leaving. Oh, that is the wrong sub-weapon equipped. Everybody but the big guy. Alright. Did we... No. Okay. What can sometimes happen is... where's Lord Shimura? There's the one. What can sometimes happen here is that the two people you might have seen that closed the door there, because, you know, they are also just NPCs, right? They're enemies, they can get terrified. And if they get terrified, they will continuously open and close these gates. And it's basically, once again, like a soft lock. You have to go ahead and reload the checkpoint again and hope that they don't get terrified again, so this keeps repeating itself. So thankfully it didn't happen, so we can go ahead and be in our merry way. I think it is very obvious when it does happen, but it's always like one of these, oh my god, why moments. Because once again, the terrification is not 100% proc chance, it is more like 80% or so at this point with the loadout that we have. So there is a high chance that it does happen, but yeah, just have to be lucky. Just be lucky, how hard can that be? But yeah, we don't have to kill any more of these enemies like anywhere here, so we can just run all the way to the end of the fort. And we want to get up to that hill where that Watcher is shooting at us. So you can kind of see this white circle when that is on the ground. That is where the Watcher is aiming to at the moment, and you know, where we have to not be when the projectiles hit. Using a smoke bomb there, so the enemies that were chasing me so far are not anymore. Makes it a little bit easier to get through the rest of this. Now, there should probably still be a couple dogs chasing me, which you know, the Watcher actually has friendly fire. So if they are chasing me, they will get hit by that and eventually get killed. So I don't have to worry about anybody chasing me that much anymore. We just have to make our way up here and then kill the two archers guarding the Watcher. Then hopefully he gets terrified. He does. And then we have to clear the bay for Goro to come through. Well, the Watcher thankfully has like unlimited ammunition, so we can just, you know, continuously shoot at the enemy boats. Now we do have to hit all of them. If just a single one of them actually gets to Goro's boat, that's the game over for us. Also have to take care of the ships. More boats. This one down here. And this is Goro's ship over there. Now, thankfully, it can't get hit by our shots. so we don't have to worry about that. We got the archers on the shoreline. Should be one more boat, yeah, coming right there. And then the two big ships over here. Then we have to wait for Goro to get through this rock, and that will spawn more enemies coming from over here. There they were. And then there's two more boats coming from over here once Goro is a little bit further along the way. You kind of just blindly fire your shots, and if you're lucky, you will just hit them. There we go. As soon as Jin says that line, we literally made it. Alright, so, message to the Shogun is on our way. So the next thing that we will try and do is to raise basically an army. You know, basically as many people as we can gather. Okay, so as soon as the Legend Storyteller is unlocked, we can reload from checkpoint. That actually puts us over there, like the fort where we just started was inside there. But, you know, it saves a little bit of time to start from here, so we'll literally just wait until, you know, it says that the Legend Storyteller has been unlocked. And then we can use that for fast travel. Which actually, an addition that has been, you know, added to the game. I actually can't remember when it was released. I think it was before Iki Island. Might be wrong about that. Bit fuzzy on the details at this point. Like the Legends play mode of this game is basically the multiplayer. And what they did for that, like there's a standalone version of the multiplayer, but it is also integrated into the main game. And the way they did that was you can select it either from the main menu, or inside the game they've added an NPC that if you talk to him, he actually puts you in the multiplayer mode. And it messes with a couple things in the sense that because he himself is like a fast travel point on the map, he unlocks at very interesting points for the speedrun that we can actually use him to fast travel to certain points on the map earlier than is intended for the game, which is why we can't take some of these shortcuts. Like you actually saw that at the start of Act 2 after we did A New Horizon. You know, when we met Norio and said bye to Norio, I actually used the Legend Storyteller to quickly go from Fort Ito to Akashima Village, even though I had never been even anywhere near Akashima Village before. It's just because the Legend Storyteller for some reason unlocks from that far away that you can just use him immediately to fast travel to there. Actually, quickly change our outfit again, because this is another stealth mission. So basically what we're trying to do here, like I said, you know, we're trying to raise an army, and really the only people who are capable that are, who are enough, so to speak, are the people of Yarikawa. The problem with the people of Yarikawa is that a couple of years passed, or maybe even a decade or so, they rebelled against Lord Shimura, and he quite brutally put down that rebellion. So the people of Yarikawa aren't exactly on good terms with him, and vice versa. So obviously, you know, they are very loath to go ahead and join our war effort, but, you know, everything is fair in war and love, as they say, so we just have to go ahead and, you know, try and sway them to, you know, rally them behind us and say, hey, you know what, these Mongols, they are endangering both us and you because you are part of this island and we have to, you know, fight against them together. But first of all, we have to make our way into Yarikawa proper. Now, luckily, both Yuna and Taka grew up in Yarikawa, so they know a secret entrance into the town. So we'll use their knowledge to get there. The problem is, of course, that there is a very big Mongol encampment between us and Yarikawa. But thankfully, once again, we do have the Mongol commander's armor, so we can just put that on and just, you know, run through this whole thing. And nobody bats an eye. No idea how Yuna and Taka do it, because they clearly do not have the same outfit as us, but I'm not gonna argue game mechanics. So now we find a little waterfall down here because, of course, the secret entrance is behind the waterfall. Where else would it be? And now we just have to wait for the dialogue to finish it before we're actually able to get through there. Now we made it into Yarikawa. We can, this is another walkie-talkie section. Now what we can do is we can actually use the Dance of Wrath to speed this up quite a little bit. And once more. Because once we get to this point, we can actually properly walk again. Now we could wait up here on the balustrade for the cutscene to trigger, but instead we can also just, jump over that barricade and trigger it early, which is actually quite funny because you would land in front of the gate, but well. And more walking and talking, so more jumping. Now we're gonna go ahead and meet the head of the Yarikawa clan. And he is very much not interested in joining with us. I mean, look at the dude. That is the face of defiance. Right there. He's a bit of a prick, honestly. But yeah, another thing that we learn here is that Yarikawa's best archers actually slipped out of town and tried, to go and fight against the Mongols because, God, what's his name again? The guy we just met. It's basically, the Mongols will just lose interest in us. They will leave us alone. Nothing bad will happen. La-di-da-di-blah. And he is completely, underplaying the danger that they are in. So the archers went out to try and fight back against the Mongols on their own terms. However, they haven't been heard from in a while, so we are getting a little bit suspicious of that. And that is why we will go and, have a little bit of a look-see where they went. Oh, it actually came from the other side, okay. Because, we think is that if we can find these archers and, convince them to help us or, even help them wherever they are, then surely Clan Yarikawa will rally behind us. So, let's see how that goes. So first of all, we have to pick up the track of them. Then we'll have a look around old Yarikawa. So this is basically where, Yarikawa was basically situated before the rebellion, before Lord Shimura put it down. So it's really like this old ramshackle town that has been abandoned for years at this point. Come on. No.
なんでコオロギ取りしてたか覚えてる？いや、母さんから遠ざけるためさ。腹を立てる。あんたに八つ当たりする。コオロギに感謝しな。
あの家に続いておる。侍が住んでたね。
Bear! Dead. So yeah, instead of the archers, we find a bear. So now having a look around, and I think I accidentally... No. Oh yeah. I did toggle off the subtitles. I was like, wait, shouldn't this be subtitled? And I guess for all of you not in command of the Japanese language, it would be very much a mess to not have the subtitles on. I mean, we're not getting the full picture, but, I'm trying to fill in the blanks as best as I can. But watching all the cutscenes would add, like I said, another 2.5 hours or so to the run, which, we're a bit on the time here, speedrun. Come on, Jin. Oh, yeah, this is like something that can happen sometimes that, Jin has to be in a very specific spot to examine things. And if he can't reach that because something is in the way, he's like a bit stuck there until the AI finally decides to go around it a little bit if you activate it from a spot that you're basically not meant to activate it from. But here are the archers, and as we will soon learn, some of them got captured. Oh no, how could that ever happen? Of course we have to help them and liberate them. So we'll go down here, immediately set off one of these barrels, so the enemy is actually on a bit in a hurry to get to us. Shoot that. Should get it. It's actually a bit hard to see who is who here. Of course, he didn't see me yet, so it was a critical strike. Instead of the flame, but oh well. Take care of these guys. Oh my god. Where are you running, my dude? Okay, where are the others? Oh, I do or not? There you are. And there should be one more. What are you doing up there? What? How did you get up? Okay. Fucking hell, dude. I don't think I've ever seen him up on this rooftop.
Do you mean to tell me it's the third time the line?
Yeah.
Say it.
It's never happened before.
Thank you.
Same as this. What is wrong with this guy? He's just standing there. Like, he's not even part of it. Like, he's just chilling over there, like nothing is wrong. And there's this archer's on our side, by the way. Oh my god.
They're just chilling. You know,
I guess so.
Yeah, they were like, oh no, fighting is so stressful. You know, it's
make love, not war. Right?
Yeah, it's bad for the mental health, the physical health. We just shouldn't do it.
I'm on the clock here. Hello.
Oh yeah, that as well.
We have an Elden Ring and Elden Ring run coming up.
An Elden Ring run.
Ring da ding 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 ding. Anyway, we freed all of the archers. We are now back in Yarikawa, and we are getting ready for the Mongols to actually go ahead and attack themselves. So hey there, Ujimasa. Shut up, Ujimasa. Nobody likes you. So we're basically preparing for their siege to go into its final stage here. So let's see if we can actually break that. And I think this is the quest that a lot of people, have very much ingrained into their memories, because it is really, really good. Like, it is so cinematic. Like, all the setup and how it plays out, it is very well done. Like, this is like really the turning point in the story, I want to say. This is basically where Jin becomes the ghost of Tsushima. I was waiting for them to come in, shoot some explosive arrows at them. Hopefully these guys just run away. They don't. Okay. Why are you not dying? Throw a bomb at these guys. Go up the gate. Wait for more to come. Throw a bomb at these guys, and hopefully the guy, right next to me should also get terrified. One more bomb. That should have been all. Yeah, okay. So remember what I said before, that as long as we are not in combat, we can interact with whatever needs, you know, interacting to advance the plot. We are now outside, you know, Yarikawa. We are in the Mongol camp because we want to try and destroy the siege equipment that the Mongols brought. Because otherwise we won't stand a chance against them. Now obviously there are a lot of enemies around here, but we can just use one of the smoke bombs that takes us out of the combat, and then we can just go ahead and dismantle that. But obviously, you know, as you can see, there are a lot of enemies here, so we would need a lot of our resources to, you know, go ahead and kill all of them. But instead, you know, 2 smoke bombs, and we are done with this. Now, of course, you know, while we were outside, the Mongols were able to enter Yarikawa, so we have to quickly go back in and try and salvage the situation. Just grabbing a couple of things along the way. Hey, don't mind me, guys. Just passing through. Don't pay me any mind. Just waiting for him until we can actually interact with this, and then we switch over to the Sakai armor again, because we do have another boss fight coming up here. And we'll basically make mincemeat out of that guy really quickly. 2 Dance of Wrath. 3 Dance of Wrath. And he's done. Yeah. Like I said, the duels in this game really are a trivial matter with the Dance of Wrath that we have here. And you really only have to pay attention that you actually do have 9 resolve points, so you can trigger 3 Dances of Wrath like back to back, like I do. But it should be easy enough because most, if not all, of the quests that, you know, have a duel / boss fight in them have a lot of fighting leading up to them, so you should have enough opportunity to top off on your to show on your resolve. And now we just have to make it to the outside of Yarikawa. You can ignore all the enemies here. They will either run away. Some of them will try to fight back, but it doesn't really matter. You only have to get to this point to go ahead and end the quest. Yeah, this is like a really great moment where, you know, they declare him as the ghost of Yarikawa. I mean, he's more the ghost of Tsushima, but yeah, you get the idea. But yeah, that's 2 of our goals for Act 2 down. Only 1 more to go, and that is, of course, to reclaim the family heirloom, the armor of Clan Sakai. And that is, the quest coming up is like my least favorite, but not because it is a bad quest per se, but just because it doesn't make sense in a New Game Plus speedrun context. Because once again, you do this quest to reclaim your family's armor, and we are wearing it right now. Like, this is the armor of Clan Sakai, so you already have it. You know, and even though we get a couple other things during that quest as well, we have all of that. So technically, there is not a single reason why we would need to do that quest, if you think about it logically. I know, New Game Plus shenanigans, but yeah. It's just always like, okay, why are we doing this again? I was like, plot. Right. Anyway, I do see that we have a donation mod, so if you want to go ahead and read that to us.
Yeah, sure. Before we do, I have a suggestion why this mission makes sense. The armor you're wearing is damaged. You need a new one.
You know what? Fair. I'll let it slide.
But we have a $20 donation from Noxifer saying Ashmos runs are always my favorite part of ESA.
Aww.
Thank you. And thank you for putting that money towards Lord Shimura's fate of kill. Kill still needs about $200 to, you know, get ahead of Spare.
I mean, there's only 10 more donations of the same amount, right?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Or a little more than 4 ESA shirts.
Ooh. I like where that is going.
Yeah. So yeah, if you do want to donate $46 or more, grab a shirt on the rewards tab of the donation page. Because these are amazing. Over on Stream 1, when they do intermissions, they show them. I don't have any here, so I can't show them right now, but they are amazing, do believe me. And I'm very happy that I already own one of them.
I still have to get one, but goddamn, they are looking fire this time around. And I'm not saying that only because it's summer. But yeah, this of course, you know, coincides with, of course, the family armor. Yeah, the family armor is, of course, in Jin's hometown of Omi village. And, you know, the Germans among you might, you know, chuckle at the name Omi village as much as I do. Because in German, Omi is like a colloquial term for grandmother. So, you know, it's like the grandmother village in a way. I mean, obviously, it's different in Japanese, you know, it has a different meaning there. But as a German speaker, it's always like, I
mean, it's not spelled like the German Omi, is it?
It is.
It is?
It is.
Oh, God. I would have suspected OHMI, you know?
No. It is literally just 3 letters, OMI.
Okay, yeah, then I getcha.
And it's especially because of the character that we're actually going to meet there, Yuriko, who is basically the retainer of Clan Sakai. Like she is like a grandmother figure to Jin at this point. So it's always like, oh yeah, I guess I know who owns that place. But yeah, there it is. And honestly, I think like they really put a lot of effort into Omi Village. Like if you compare Omi Village to any of the other, to any of the other villages in the game, I think it literally is the best looking out of all of them. You know, like just with the serene. Okay, I'm just gonna turn around. And I mean, look at this vista, right? Like the area surrounding Omi Village and then Omi Village itself. I mean, who would not want to live here? Let's be real.
That's true, and I do have to say, you know, all those white petals do remind me of grey hair. I had to do it.
Fair enough. And there she is, Yuriko. Yuriko is a very interesting NPC because so far, whenever we had one of these walkie-talkie sections, you saw me, you know, jump to make the NPCs go faster. Yuriko is not okay with that. She will not speed up because of that. Like, she will walk at her own pace and at no other pace. So you will have to wait for her. But I mean, it gives me a time to talk about this armor a little bit more. I said before that this is the Clan Sakai armor, but if you squint a little bit, you know, the paint that is on the armor right now, it might remind you of another PlayStation game series that you might or might not have played in the past. Like, you know, it's like a very angry man that has white skin, mostly white skin, and, you know, these red markings on him.
Do you mean that game about a man and a boy?
The boy!
The boy!
Exactly. Yeah, that's actually a thing that they added with the Iki Island expansion, where a few select armors actually, you know, got like crossover skins with other Sony-owned IPs. So the Clan Sakai armor got, obviously, you know, the God of War paint job, so to speak. If you actually paid very close attention to the Ghost armor skin, so to speak, that I am wearing, it is based off Shadow of the Colossus. And then the Kensei armor that we will see a little bit later in the run, it actually has like a Yharnam skin, you know, obviously referencing Bloodborne. And they all look pretty cool. And you don't only like get them normally, you actually have to do like little side puzzles to unlock them on Iki Island, which is pretty cool.
Pimp my garb.
I can't quite remember what you have to do for all of them, but for example, I think specifically for the God of War one, you have to find like a specific statue, and you have to go into Ghost Stance in front of it, because, you know, Ghost Stance is pushing in both sticks on the controller, kind of is like activating Rage of the Gods in God of War. So, you know, they're referencing the other games in that ways, which is like really neat little puzzles, because nowhere really in the game is it set like that. I mean, you get a little riddle on that statue that hints towards that, but it is a bit cryptic. So you really have to, you know, use your brain to be able to figure that one out. Or, you know, look up a guide on the internet. I'm not your mom. Because I'm your Omi. Alright, so yeah, this is where we would, you know, normally get the Sakai clan armor. Now we have to... nope. Oh. Oh, right, it doesn't let me switch armors at the moment because this is the tutorial for the armor. Okay, there we go. Because the thing with the Sakai armor is not only does it increase your damage, it also increases your standoff streak. Like normally you can, quote-unquote, only if you have it upgraded, kill 3 enemies in a row with a standoff. However, if you have the Sakai armor equipped, I think it increases that by 2, so you can kill off a total of 5 enemies like that. However, once again, it is very slow, and the Straw Hats are actually quite hard to kill with the standoff. So instead of doing that, we just, you know, get out our bow, get a couple headshots on them, and deal with them that way. Horse, please. Yeah, so another part that we get here, this is also where we would normally get the blowgun. And once this quest is done, I actually do not want to use the blowgun anymore. Now, the reason for that is because, you know, so far, we wouldn't have had the blowgun, so I was free to use it. But as soon as you get the blowgun through the story, so to speak, and it gets unlocked... that's not good. Oh, no, it still worked out, okay. Never mind. Normally you should horse charge that enemy so he doesn't call for reinforcements. It's fine, it's fine. Just walk it off. Just walk it off. We are on fire. It's getting hot in here. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, if I were to use the blowgun after this quest, and then skippable cutscene once again would trigger. And obviously I don't want that to happen. Oh my god, where are they shooting? Obviously I don't want that to happen, so the blowgun is basically off limits to me from here on out, which isn't too bad, because once again we have the charm equipped on the ghost armor that if we shoot an arrow we have a 30% chance to basically get the same effect with a normal arrow. Which, you know, is only a 30% effect instead of, you know, the 100% you would get with the poison dart out of the blowgun, but yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, that cutscene wastes, I think, 20 to 30 seconds or something. So in a roughly 3-hour run, you know, like 20 to 30 seconds isn't that much if you think about it, but, you know, if you don't have to waste that time, why would you? Because also the blowgun really isn't needed from this point onward, so it's like, meh, whatever. But yeah, while we're having this little ride here, Mod, is there anything you want to let us know about?
I mean, unfortunately, you know, the donations have run a little dry, but I mean, it's warm outside, you know. Being dry is just pretty standard right now. However, we do have, of course, still our polls for this game open. You could, in theory, still switch up the language to English. In theory, because I mean, English is at $30, Japanese at $275. So in theory, you can still do it. I'm not sure if that'll happen, because if you were to spend that much money, I think someone here would rather you spend it on Lord Shimura's fate. And rather have us end him than spare him, because that would basically guarantee a PB. at least in Ishma's mind.
It would.
Yeah, so, you know. And, I mean, if you are so inclined to donate that large of an amount, then why not also put that towards the Kurosawa mode and make Aishima play the rest of the game in black and white?
野宿するのか
True samurai movie style.
Exactly.
では毒草を集めましょう。
休んでおれ俺が積もう
種は毒です。食べ
And we can actually go ahead and give you guys a taste of that. Why not? So you can see what it would be like to play this in black and white.
失礼をお母上に花を贈られましたね。
母上は綺麗に飾ってくださったな
それで
Like, it actually changes the atmosphere quite a bit if you, you know, let it do its thing for a while.
I mean, it does, but I guess I would be lost like 2 minutes in.
It actually makes navigating everything quite a bit more hard, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Like, especially if you have, like, certain, you know, tells where you need to go in the world. Like, I know at one point I had, like, you know, a green bush amongst a lot of yellow bushes that I was taking as a visual marker. Okay, you have to take a right at that point. Obviously, if you're playing it in black and white, you can't really see a green bush amongst a lot of yellow. So that was something that was really fun to figure
I
out.
mean, it could be the slightly darker gray bush.
But try to identify that, you know, on a whim while riding past it.
I mean, I'm not speedrunning that game. That's your job.
Fair enough, fair enough. Alright, but let's change back once we get the option again.
思い出せない。
Display. Okay, we're back. And we need to go there. Alright, so we have done all the 3 goals that we need to do. So let's go ahead and tell Lord Shimura about it. I don't know why I dismounted there. I didn't need to. But yeah, now that we have done our 3 goals, you know, the samurai on the way, we found our little army that we are training. We have our family heirloom armor. And we now have found the location of Ryuzo, you know, our old friend that betrayed us to the Mongol at the end of Act 1. And he is hiding, like, in a nearby fort and ready to strike at our flank should we, or our army, rather, do a move. So, of course, Jin is all like, okay, I will take care of this alone. You know, he was my old friend. He is my responsibility. So we will ride over to Fort... Damn, I forgot the name of it. It will come to me in a second. In the meantime, donation.
Yeah, we just got a $5 donation from 03D saying less uncles equals less frames. I mean, that's one way to put it. Cheers very much for the informative Tsushima run. Is there a strat or trick that you'd say is your favorite?
Oh, that is a very good question. I would say it is that bomb throw that I pointed out a little while earlier at the end of the Iron Hook, where, you know, you have the Mongol mosh pit and you just throw that one bomb in and just everybody goes boom, flying all over the place. That is always fun to do, if you get it right. But yeah, I can only, like, recommend also watching a new game speedrun, not the new game plus version where you skip all the cutscenes, but one where, you know, play from a fresh save file. Because in my experience, in my mind, in my opinion, it is the more fun speedrun because there's a lot more sword fighting actually going on. You know, a lot more action. Like, basically all we're I mean, I say all we're doing in the New Game Plus speedrun is throwing bombs. That's not quite true, but it kind of feels like it after a while because you're really not engaging with a lot of enemies. And if you are only doing so, you know, from the distance by throwing a bomb, shooting a poison arrow, shooting an explosive arrow, throwing kunais, you know, stuff like that. You're really not using your sword a lot, and that makes me kind of sad because the sword fighting in this game really is what drew me to the game in the first place. You know, I wanted to have more of that, and I had it, you know, until New Game Plus was introduced, and it turned out to be a category that is about 4 hours faster than a new game run. Which is actually also the reason why I'm the only idiot, you can say, who runs the New Game 2 Islands category. New Game 2 Islands is you play the main game, you know, Tsushima Island, plus the DLC Iki Island, and Iki Island adds another 2 hours to that 7-hour main game run, so it's about a 9-hour run, and I'm literally the only one running that category every now and again. And it is quite a long one. Luckily, there are a lot of breaks because, you know, unskippable cutscenes, and the cutscenes, at least at the start and the end of an act are quite long. So you get quite a few, you know, bathroom breaks and whatnot. Also, fun little glitch here, because the game really isn't expecting you to, you know, just run through this Mongol fort and not kill any of the Mongols. You can still hear them growling at us or shouting. That shouldn't normally be here, but, you know, since they are basically still on the outside of the gate here, you can still hear them. Also, why are you guys still around? None of you should still be alive. Anyway, okay. So there's a fun little audio bug that is happening right here. Because what is usually supposed to happen is before I even get in here, Taka lured all the enemies outside. Or should lure all the enemies outside, because that never really happened, you know, because I just immediately went to the gate and ran into the fort. Alright, quite a bit of fighting to do here. Or, you know, bomb throwing. Is there anybody who's still around? Oh yeah, this guy. Can you please die? Thank you. It was alright. Could have been better, could have been worse. Like, once again, it is very much up to RNG, you know, how many of these enemies actually get terrified from your actions. Because the problem also is, in this quest specifically, you do get captured. And even if you do reclaim your equipment, you do not reclaim all of your resources. So you're actually losing out on quite a few of your black powder bombs, of your explosive arrows, and so on and so forth. So you really have a very much reduced inventory to work with for this quest. So you really have to make everything count that you have. And yeah, the people are still, you know, screaming at us, as you can very much hear there. But it ends as soon as we do this fast travel here. And with all of that said and done, we are now into the final, well, penultimate quest, I guess, of the second act. And this is quite the turning point in the story so far. So before we do that, let me actually go ahead and sell all of this linen. And then resupply quite a bit here, because, you know, we do lose quite a few of our stuff. Yeah, I didn't have a single explosive arrow, for example. No black powder bombs. Do have kunai. Give me that. Also want this. And yeah, a couple of these. It's not too bad. Okay, cool. Also, watch this. You know, I destroy this door, you know, because it's faster to destroy them instead of opening them to get through. I skip the cutscene. And it's immediately repaired. Like, how quickly do these Japanese carpenters work, man? It is unreal.
And here people are talking about German efficiency.
Like, we have nothing on the Japanese, man.
No,
they are
we don't.
Literally from a different dimension. But yeah, while we're riding up this hill, I think we have another donation to read.
We do have a donation waiting. Another $5 from Krumpurai. And this time around, thank you very much, they put it towards killing Lord Shimura. Ooh. So thank you for that. But there's also a donation message. Two things. The text said, it kills vermin in seconds, according to the text. But she herself, in Japanese, said it kills lions in mere moments.
Oh.
And second, you said that the lady walks in her own pace and cares about no one. Well, that's why it's Omi Village, duh.
You know what? Good point.
Thank you very much for that. And also, thank you, Tainted Tally, being here with the wonderful shirts. Got them from the intermission desk on Stream 1. That is the ESA Summer 2025 event shirt. Front and back, a wonderful cyberpunk design, and of course, what's an ESA without a Goosebird design shirt? This is a drippy Goosebird, because yeah, he's dripping, literally. Closer to the camera so that you can see it. Yeah, you know, it's warm. It's very warm. So, but yeah. $46 a piece, and select them as a reward, and then you will get a redeemable code where you can get those shirts at speedrunstore.com.
Alright, and we are now here trying to reclaim Castle Shimura, which is, you know, the homestead of Lord Shimura, the Lord of the island. It is the biggest fortress on Tsushima Island, so it is a very strategically important part of the island. And people are being very rude to me. Okay. Let's hope these two didn't get terrified too early. No, they did not. Okay, cool. Bomb! Okay. Guess it didn't matter too much. So in this area, we don't have to kill the enemies anymore. Oh my god. We don't have to kill the enemies anymore. We can just run past everyone here. Our only goal is to get to the end of this area. So leave the fighting to everybody else. Just go up here. Mind the archers. Grab all the resources. Go here, and then we can skip the cutscene and we skip all the fighting up until this point. Our goal, as before, is to claim that watcher up there. But we can just kill the guys from down here if we are precise. Okay. Because that actually triggers the next... Oh, God, hello. The next part of the fighting here. This is one of the quests. Where are they? Oh, there. Oh, that's only one of them. Oh, now they're... Throw. Now, I don't know why. They were a bit late to the party. Because the trigger didn't properly activate. There are all these explosive barrels all over the place that you can strategically use to get rid of some of the enemies. Where is the commander? Over there. So yeah, this 5-strike combo is what I was talking about earlier in the water stand. That is very much, very efficient, very good. It deals a lot of damage. Shooting a couple explosive arrows. That should get rid of most of the enemies. Oh, hello. That's not what I wanted to do, but I guess it works. Normally, that should have taken care of everybody. Nope. Of course not. There we go. There's only one left. And yeah, you know, we're trying to retake the castle here, and this is where Lord Shimura kinda makes a blunder, if you will. Like, he sent a lot of his forces on this bridge that the Mongols just completely blew up, so he lost a lot of men at this point. And this is basically where a rift is starting to form between Jin and Lord Shimura, because you know, Lord Shimura is holding on to the samurai code, you know, honor and, you know, facing your enemies head on and not doing anything that is dishonorable or subterfuge and whatnot. And Jin knows this, but he also knows that if they were to do it Lord Shimura's way, they would basically sacrifice the whole population of Tsushima in that fight, and that is not something that, you know, he stands for, because he wants to protect all of his people. And that is why he resorts to, well, not so honorable means to try and get rid of the Mongols, because what they're trying to do here now is basically infiltrating their camp during the night and poisoning all of them. And that is, of course, completely against the samurai code and against Lord Shimura's will, so to speak, and what he deems honorable. So we will see how that plays out. So we'll make our way over here. And we have to kill all the enemies in this tower. And this is also the mission where you would normally get the ghost armor for the first time. We'll have a look around here.
あの道、守りが薄く潜める場所も多い。杉笠衆だ。龍蔵、やはりここにおったか。宴を開くようだ。もうこの酒に毒を漏れそうだ。死にきれぬ兵も出るだろうが、後で一人ずつ殺せばよい。守りは堅牢で、火薬もある。迎え撃つ備えは万端ということか。気づかれずに酒のところへ行かねば庭を抜けた方が。
Okay. I mean, it still worked. No worries. Guess I was a little bit too forward with my jump there. For a second I thought I would actually die, but I guess wasn't deep enough. But yeah, because we have the Mongol Commander Azamo, we can just run straight through all of these guys, and nobody will none the wiser. Normally, if you wouldn't have the Mongol Commander's armor, you would have to, you know, carefully make your way through here. But even then, at the end, you still have to throw a smoke bomb in order to administer the poison to the food. And that is that mission almost done. So we have poisoned, you know, all of their food, and basically all of them are drinking the A-Rack that we poisoned now. And we, yeah, literally killed everybody in here without, you know, sacrificing more lives on our side. So it is quite the gruesome scenario looking here, where everybody's just crawling on the ground dying, literally. And now we will face off against Ryuzo again. That is why we have the Sakai clan armor once more equipped, because we have another duel coming up. And, well, count with me. One dance of wrath. Two dance of wrath. 3 dance of wrath. And you're dead. So yeah, and this is basically where the complete fallout happens between Jin and his uncle, because, you know, obviously his uncle comes in with all the other samurai and they saw what Jin did, and basically give him a choice. Either Jin renounces what he's done and blames Yuna for everything that has transpired to save his own head, or, well, you know, he stays truthful and tells them that no, he was actually it, and then he would basically get sentenced to death, and that is what he chooses to do. So, yeah, he's now not a samurai anymore. He has been taken prisoner by his own uncle, but, you know, his friends still stand behind them, because none of them are samurai. You know, they are farmers, they are thieves, they are monks. So, you know, not Japanese nobility or anything of that. So they free him and give him a chance to finish what he has started with, is to fight back against the Mongols and, you know, the true enemy of them, and not have all of that infighting happening. And it's quite interesting, because when I was playing this game casually, I actually got spoiled so far that, you know, I knew that Lord Shimura, you know, something happens at the end of him, but I didn't know why. So, of course, the whole time I was playing this, I was like, okay, what is going to happen that makes Jin have to fight Lord Shimura at some point? And initially I thought that, oh, maybe Lord Shimura isn't as, you know, trustful or whatnot and joins up with the Mongols or whatnot, but I definitely did not see this twist coming at the time, so I was really surprised by it. And, you know, that is like one of the things where even, you know, if you do get spoiled in a way, it doesn't necessarily ruin your whole experience with the game because of it. But yeah, we're obviously able to escape Castle Shimura, but we left basically everything behind. And, you know, we lost all of our equipment. Our horse that the game told us at the beginning that would actually, you know, have through the whole game gets killed. And that is like literally the biggest bummer if you speedrun this game repeatedly, on the new game save file where you have to watch all of the cutscenes because you continuously see this horse dying. And that is that is like an emotional blow, let me tell you. If you watch that cutscene, it's like so yeah. F's in chat for Sora, please. Our horse is now in a better place. So we just have to make our way very carefully through it, because again, we have not a single weapon to our name at the moment. So very carefully make our way through here. And yeah, we are of course now in the final act of the game, Act 3. And our only goal, the only goal that we have in Act 3 is to go ahead and kill Khotun Khan, the leader of the Mongol invasion. That's like basically all that matters at this point. But surprise, during the time that Jin was imprisoned, which was probably a couple weeks or so, at least actually, so there is a bit of a time jump going on here. The Mongols have actually learned to use the same poison that Jin started to use against them. And he has been hit here by a poison arrow. However, I guess through sheer will of force, he actually survives the poison. And is actually able to fight on. So Yuna brought all of our equipment, thankfully. So we now have everything back that we can use. But of course, now we are in the very far north of Tsushima, and you know, it's starting to be winter. So everything is pretty cold, so we definitely need a new hideout now here. Because the way the island is laid out, Castle Shimura that we just liberated at the end of the second act basically acts as a natural border between the north of Tsushima Island and the rest of it. So there really is no good way for us to go back south where our allies are. Except one other fort that kinda serves as a border patrol between the two parts. But we'll get to that in a moment. So you can't really see it underneath all this armor, but this is actually, you know, a completely different horse. And I have to admit, it is also a very ugly horse. I am sorry, it is. Like, this is like a mangy beast and not, you know, the war horse that we had before. So we definitely will need a new horse at some point. But we'll see about that also in a little bit. Now for now, we just have to go and, you know, secure us another staging point for our own group, from where we can strike out against the Khan's forces. Because we do know that he is somewhere in this part of Tsushima Island. Because obviously now with us having defeated all of his forces at Castle Shimura and basically the other samurai reinforcing us, the south of Tsushima Island is basically secure at this point. More or less. Because, you know, obviously we are doing a speedrun here, we're not liberating all of the forts and villages and whatnot that you could do doing a casual playthrough. And the game, you know, always leaves those open for you to go ahead and, you know, do your thing. Also, as you see, we have quite a few different dialogue choices during some of these walkie-talkie sections. It doesn't matter what you pick, like literally all of them do not have any impact on the story or on the time or whatever, so literally just choose whatever you feel like. Actually, let's go ahead and change our armor here.
馬を降りろ。歩いて行く。
ここの森深いね。隠れやすい。
我々にも猛虎にもな。
じゃあ開けた地を越えて寺に近づかなきゃ。
つまり湖か。
So there's another optional point here. You actually do not have to go there and survey the little fishing village here. You can just go straight for it. So here we want to slow down just a little bit until that big guy has come closer to the other two dudes, so we can hit all of them with one bump throw. That should be fine. Over here, get rid of you. Get rid of you. Now, where are you going, my guy? Okay, he's running, that's good. Are there any ice skating fans in the chat or in the audience? Huh? Nobody? Well. Well, sucks to be you because the monthly rendition of Mongols on Ice is about to start. Because what we'll do here, we will lure all of these Mongols on the ice because we, use the alarm system here. And then all of them will, well, come onto the ice. And you can kind of see what I'm aiming at right now. You might not see it quite as clearly, but those are red barrels. And we all know what red barrels are for. And here they go, and boom! Idiots. Oh, hello. Oh, hello. Jin, that's not what I wanted to do, but okay. Yeah, sometimes, you want to attack one enemy, but Jin magnetizes to the enemies that are on the ground and just stabs them to death there. Not quite what I had, but hey, it worked out. But yeah, I hope you like this rendition on Mongols on Ice. That is quite the show. More a light show than really anything to watch for a long while, but yeah, it is what it is. Okay, quickly killing these two goods. And then we get in here. Oops. Didn't want to use that smoke bomb. Oh, hello. So yeah, like I said, we're playing on lethal difficulty. You die very quickly on lethal difficulty. However, as long as you have 3 resolve points left over, you actually have an ability that you can basically revive yourself, giving you some kind of an extra life, if you will. And that is basically the thing that you have to keep in mind. Like, especially if you are in a quest where a boss fight or a duel is coming up. Obviously, you don't want to die, so you can keep all of your resolve for the boss fight, so you can use the Dance of Wrath to quickly get through that duel. But, depending on what is happening, you might have to use the revive, so you don't have to go ahead and reload a save point, which would lose you even more time. Wasn't as bad this time around because, there wasn't a duel associated with that quest, so I didn't mind it too much. But obviously, it still loses you a little bit of time when you have to do that because, you have to get back up again. We have to get a couple more resources here. Actually, let's start at the bottom. There. Okay. We have stocked up. We will find the horse. So yeah, we have now secured Jokaku Temple, which will serve as our staging ground, basically, for our operations in northern Tsushima. But now we have to find a way to actually get our allies from the south into the north. And as I said before, Castle Shimura acts as like a natural border between the northern and southern parts of Tsushima. So obviously, because we're not on good terms with Lord Tsushima anymore, we can't just go ahead, and knock on the door and be like, hey, can we let our friends through? So we have to go through Fort Kaminodake on the west side of the island. But that is obviously occupied by Mongols. So we have to find a couple more allies that would be able to help us reclaim that fort. Luckily, Yuna knows a couple people around here. So we will go ahead and pay them a visit. And I always think that, navigating northern Tsushima like that is probably the hardest part of the speedrun when it comes to navigating the terrain. Because, I mean, look around you. Literally everything looks the same. Like, all of the trees, all of the bushes, the colors, everything is pretty muted. You can't really see the horizon because you are going, uphill. And it's, really hard to navigate this part. So you kind of just, pick a direction and then hope that you are going in a straight line to where you need to be. And where I need to be is over on that mountain there. So yeah, I think I actually picked quite a good direction there. Nice. But yeah, the third act is also the shortest act out of the three in the main game. Like when we started it a couple of minutes ago, that was like the, you know, call that's like about 40 minutes left on this one, so less now. I want to say like maybe like half an hour roughly. So we should be pretty good on the estimate. Can you? Yes, thank you. So this is Takeshi's camp. It's only a couple of ladders away from being Takeshi's castle. Can we get a revival for that show, please? That was a good one. But yeah, this is Takeshi and his hunters slash thieves. And we will basically now go ahead and convince them that, hey, if you help us retake that fort over there, then you can have it for the winter. You know, you don't have to stay up here where it's cold. Because clearly we have the authority to do that. Well, fun fact, if you don't get that roll there, you actually die and have to reload the checkpoint because it is quite high. So you have to be, you know, precise with your input. And now we have to make our way over to Fort Camino Dake. And again, it's like a bit hard to see, like going down the hill now as well. Because again, there really aren't any clear visual indicators of where you need to go. You just have to kind of feel it out or know where you're going. What we're aiming for here is like a little crossing over a river. You can kind of start seeing the river there on the left side. So let's see. Oh, I think I'm way too far left. You could theoretically also use that little village over there for crossing, but there are Mongols in there that will probably shoot you off the horse. So not that great. And there is the crossing I was talking about. Like if you go too far right there, then you would have to use the bridge further downriver, but that will lose you even more time. But yeah, like I said, it's really hard to find the right navigation spot here if you are going from and to. Well, thankfully, this is like the biggest navigation that you have to do in Act 3. Everything else you can probably, or not probably, but just quickly fast travel in between because you get all the fast travel options pretty quickly. Like I said, Act 3 is pretty short, everything considered. And most of the things you get are unlocked automatically. So yeah, it's like right over there. Alright, let's see how we can do this. So once again, we have to take care of all of the Mongols in here. So we're just gonna wait up here for these riders to come a little bit closer. That was actually all of them. Oh, that was pretty quick. Actually good RNG for once. And now we just have to wait for, yeah, Takeshi to come here so we can talk to him. Now, and we have probably another glitch coming up because some of these Mongols sometimes respawn, like right over here. I don't know why. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. They just reappear. It's always a bit shitty when it does, because you have more targets to take care of. Take care of these guys. A bit of a surprise going here because there is some commotion down at the southern gate now as well. As you can see by the explosion. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Can take a bit of a shortcut over the fence here. In, come on. Okay, now the archers actually were able to get in there. Just waiting for this. Oh, hello. Okay, as soon as you hear that voice line, that reinforcements are on the way, you have defeated enough Mongols in that area that you can just continue to the last part of the quest. And yeah, as it turns out, our own allies were a little bit impatient and, you know, made their own way into the fort here, so we can now meet up with them. And just get rid of the last of the Mongols in the fort here. I think that was all of them? No, there's one over there. That was all of them. Yeah, it was really one of those quests where you really have to, you know, take count of how many Mongols are left, where are they, and just quickly go between them and get rid of them to advance through it. And yeah, now we're getting actually pretty close to the end of the game, pretty fast. Like, there's still a couple of quests to do, but they are all pretty fast to get through, pretty short. Like I said, like the third act of the game really is the shortest out of all of them. Sometimes it can be a little bit finicky to select some of the fast travel options there, especially if like a quest pops out in front of them. But yeah, we have our staging ground, we have our allies. Now we just need to do to check up on what the Mongols are actually doing. So Yuna and Jin will now go ahead and you know, have a little look-see. Because we now know that the Khan is holed up in Port Izumi. And there is like this light tower that you can see a little bit in the distance over there. That gives us a good view of Port Izumi. So we can plan our attack. Again, this is like a stealth quest. You're supposed to go, you know, all the way around there on the cliffside behind those rocks, because once again, you're not allowed to be seen. So yeah, this is one of those stealth quests, and we just equip the Mongol commander's armor and just wait right through the middle of it all. We still do have to throw a smoke bomb here, so we're actually able to examine this. And this is where we actually learn that, yes, what the Mongols here are doing is they are collecting all this wolf's bane, as it's called. You know, this poisonous plant that we're using to make our poison. And they are collecting that... oh my god. Jin? They are collecting a lot of that poison. And if they were to get that over to mainland Japan... basically, the samurai there would not stand a chance against that at all, so we have to stop the Mongol invasion right here before they can send any ships over to the mainland. Yeah, this is also where we learned that apparently a storm is coming, which would, you know, force all of the Mongol ships to go into the bay, and that is basically when we would strike at them. And yeah, Gathering Storm is literally the fastest quest in the whole game. It takes like 2 to 3 minutes or so. It is blazingly fast to do. But before we strike out, Jin has, you know, the very great idea that, hey, you know what we need? We need more people to help us with this. So he is now writing a letter to his uncle, you know, telling him that, hey, you know, we have our differences, but we still have a common enemy. Can we, you know, find a way to not necessarily reconcile, but at least, you know, liberate the island together? Because, you know, we do have a common enemy. But first of all, we need a horse. So, I do know that we had, you know, an incentive, a poll for the horse name. Can you quickly tell me what was the second most voted horse name?
Let me pull that up again, because of course I closed that poll already and I need to dig a little deeper to find it. But that's
I think
not
it was
the
either
problem.
Nobu or Kage, but I'm not quite sure.
So the second place was Kage.
Was Kage? Okay, then
Yeah,
we
we-
just go
we-
with Kage because we have a new horse.
Yeah, we are taking the shadow now.
どうやって城に忍
A
び
shadow for the
あ
ghost.
そこで育った城壁の抜け道は全て
And yeah, for this quest, you know, it's of course another stealth mission because we have to infiltrate Castle Shimura once again to get to our uncle, and we will use a different outfit for that actually. And the thing is, we are, you know, we are now sneaking across or between samurai, right? And obviously the Mongol commander's armor wouldn't work for them because, you know, only the Mongols are fooled by the Mongol commander's armor. The samurai would still attack somebody wearing a Mongol commander's armor. And that was actually something that, you know, put us as speedrunners in a little bit of a bind because it is a stealth mission and we want to go fast, but we couldn't use our, you know, best sneaking armor, the Mongol commander's armor, to get through this because the samurai are not fooled by this. And then, you know, at one point I came up with this one, that we were using the fundoshi. Because the fundoshi makes it so that you are also harder to be spotted. But more importantly, it also quiets your footsteps because, you know, you're not wearing as much armor. So it is harder for enemies to go ahead and detect you. And which makes for a very good sneaking armor for this one particular mission. And yeah, so, you know, enjoy Jin in his bathing attire, I guess.
I do have a quick question about that.
Go ahead.
Seeing how fast you just swam, is it really a fundoshi or is it a speedo?
化け物になり下がったと示すだけ
Yeah, good question. Good question. That is actually a bit of a... I don't want to say it's necessarily a glitch, maybe a bug or something. Because if you use the Dance of Wrath, obviously it gives you very... like, you know, it's a very fast attack in a definitive direction. And we have found out that if you use that when you're going into water, you keep basically the speed boost and then very quickly can swim for a short amount of time to speed up these swimming sections quite a bit. However, of course, you do need at least 3 resolve to be able to use the Dance of Wrath at that point. However, you do not use up the 3 resolve points, so that is quite nice of that. But yeah, it saves a couple of seconds, so it's really not a big time save or anything, but it's just nice to get it. But yeah, this is, you know, the third time, or at least the second time that we are in Castle Shimura. It's at least the second time that we are infiltrating Castle Shimura, because we just did that at the end of the second act, if you remember. But we're going through this a little bit differently than before. Like, this was the one that we cleared out of the Mongols earlier. This time we're just, you know, climbing that rock and going around. And we're actually a little bit of a time limiter here, because as you can see by the subtitles, Lord Shimura is actually, you know, giving the speech right now. And we basically have until that speech is over to do what needs to be doing here, because there is actually kind of a glitch going on here. Because once again, it's a stealth mission. I am not supposed to be seen. And these samurais are a bit dumb, because they very clearly see me. They very clearly start attacking me. However, as long as Lord Shimura is not in the castle, they will not raise the alarm and fail me the quest. So as long as he is out there, you know, giving his little speech, I am free to quote-unquote engage these samurai and not automatically fail the quest because I have been seen. However, as soon as he is done with his speech, or you have to reload a checkpoint or anything, he is inside the castle and you have to do the mission properly, and that loses you minutes. So yeah, at least, you know, everything went by perfectly. So we are actually ready for the finale. Oh, we have done everything that needed to be doing, so we will not just go back to our allies and prepare for war. War. Yeah, it is finally time to drive the Mongols off the island. So we will go to Yuna and initiate the quest, basically.
遅かったじゃないか。
And then we will top up our tools and whatnot. Spend the last bit of our supplies to get everything in order. And then we'll see how this goes. Horse? There's horse. I really don't have a lot of supplies, actually. I guess we just sell a bit more linen. What do I need? Sure, I definitely need more of that. I need kunai. That should be fine. In order to proceed in this quest, we have to wait for Yuna to go to a specific spot. And we can actually speed her up by continuously ramming our head into her butt. It makes her go faster, I promise. It's for a speedrun purpose. Well, ain't not much else to say here. So if you want to plug anything. No? No? Just want to leave it at that? Okay. I see. I see how it is. But yeah, the lady takes her time going around the camp here. It's quite nice actually for when you're playing this on the new save file, the speedrun that is, because then you can go ahead and talk to that guy with the icon above his head, because he gives you quite a lot of supplies and stuff like that. So you can really take the time that Yuna is quote-unquote wasting here to go around and actually upgrade your equipment, because you really don't come across a lot of upgrading materials over the course of the run in the speedrun. So you know, it's really the only part where you actually start upgrading your equipment. And at that point, let me tell you, you do need those upgrades. You want those upgrades. Alright, Yuna's in positions. So let's start this quest properly, shall we? Skipping a couple of cutscenes. And then we will do our attack on Port Izumi.
Jin.
Alright, here we go. So we do want to pan the camera over to the right side here, because that forces all of the Mongols to spawn on our left. Which is important because there's an explosive barrel over there that we can quickly use to get rid of most of them immediately. There's the same idea here. Not who I wanted to attack, Jin. Okay. Once again, looking for the Mongol commander. There. Oh my god, why did you spawn all the way over there? Now, the thing is with enemy spawns, the number and the type of the enemies that spawn during an encounter is set in stone. However, when and kind of where they spawn is up to RNG. So you do know which enemies you will be facing, you're just not quite sure where they will be spawning in from. So that again is also up to, well, you know, RNG, and they just have to learn to deal with it. Obviously, there are better and worse enemy spawns happening, but you can kind of still manipulate them with your camera, like we did at the start of this quest, where if you know that enemies are coming from a specific direction, you can just, you know, pan your camera in a way that makes them spawn where you want them to. Like, if I hadn't panned my camera to the right side there, they could have come from that direction, and, you know, the explosive barrel isn't there, so I would have wasted more time and or resources to try and get rid of them from that direction. But, you know, with everything that's going on and, you know, the chaos of every single battle, it is a bit hard to always, you know, optimally spawn in the enemies from where you want them to. Throwing down the smoke bomb for safety. If Jin would want to grab the ladder, that would be great. Thank you. And from here on out, it's basically a straight shot towards Kotum Khan. So we can just literally ignore every single enemy on the way there. There we go. Alright. There we go. Nope. So he actually has so much health that even the 3 Dances of Wrath won't get rid of all of his health. So that is why I'm fighting him a little bit the normal way here. But actually, we did quite more damage to him than I thought we would. So yeah, he's already done with that. Okay, cool. However, that is not the end of the fight just yet. Like, he actually managed to run away. And now we are switching over to the Kensei armor and actually putting in the Yarnum vestments. You know, the ones that are homage to Bloodborne. Okay, I actually don't have ghost stands ready, which is not good. So we have to take a little bit longer with this fight. Probably was because I got hit during the duel. And I got it. I have to fill up my ghost stands here. Okay, finish that phase. Ghost stands. Hit him a couple times. Then destroy his weapon. A couple more. Ghost stand is over. Throw kunai. Hit him. Throw kunai. And the fight is over. Not the cleanest fight that I've had, but seeing how we didn't have ghost stands like readily available, I had to improvise just a little bit. But hey, it worked out kinda okay, I would say. But yeah, I mean, we did it, right? Like, we fought back against the Mongols. We killed the leader. Everybody's gonna be happy? Maybe not that guy, but you know. But no, there is still one more quest to do, obviously. But yeah, we have, you know, defeated the Mongol leader, and the Mongol invasion is broken with that. There are, of course, still remnants on the island because we didn't really liberate all the villages and the forts and whatnot. And you can just go ahead, you know, and do that right now if you want to. But during the fighting, you know, Lord Shimura actually showed up and joined us. Of course, we did skip the cutscene, so we didn't see that. But the samurai actually did help us during that fight at Port Izumi as well. And Lord Shimura left a message for us and asked us to go meet us in our hometown, Omi village again. And who are we to deny an old man a request? And that is actually the last quest of the game. Of the main story, I should say. But yeah, obviously, we'll just be buddies and everything will be alright, right? Absolutely no problem there. Whatever could go wrong. And yeah, that is basically also your point where, you know, if you want to sway the ending of the game, you know, get your donations in now. You have about 4 minutes or so left before we have to make our final choice here. So if anybody wants to snipe, I think Spare is still in the lead.
You think correctly.
Okay, so if you want to kill him, you know, there we go. Because,
you know, it's just $190 snipe, so basically pocket change.
Right. Well, you could probably get a good reward out of that as well. You know, a couple shirts or something. Shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's 4 shirts and... Oh god, quick maths. 4 shirts, $6, something like that. So, you know.
Sounds doable.
日の本全土を奪うまで諦めません。
奴らとの戦にこの生涯を費やすつもりだ。この務めはお前と果たしたかった。父と子として。
But yeah, I think to also keep in mind that throughout the game, Lord Shimura and Jin have talked about that Lord Shimura wants to adopt Jin formally as his son. Because, you know, obviously, Lord Shimura is Jin's uncle on his father's side. So, you know, Jin's father was Lord Shimura's brother. And after, like, Jin's mother died very early on, like I think during childbirth or something. No, not during childbirth. But very early in his life. And then his father died during a campaign, like a couple of years ago. So when Jin was still a child, like let's say, I don't know, like in his teens somewhere, Lord Shimura basically, you know, adopted him and raised him as his own son. So these two guys are really close. Like, they have a really good relationship, you know, apart from what happened during the game. So they were really so close that Lord Shimura really just wanted to adopt Jin as his own son. And they even asked the Shogun, you know, for the adoption. And actually, before we stormed Castle Shimura, he told Jin that the Shogun officially supports his decision to adopt Jin as his own son. And then, you know, we know what happened during the assault on Castle Shimura, where they had their fallout, and Jin, you know, assumed the alter ego of the ghost, and, you know, they had their fallout. And what is happening now is that the Shogun, after all of that Jin had done, even though he had defeated Kodokan Khan, the Shogun has commanded Lord Shimura to bring him the ghost's head as his penance, because, you know, involuntarily, in a way, Lord Shimura still aided the ghost, who is an outlaw, to the Shogun's law. And these two will thus clash now in a duel. And this is really like a heart-wrenching scene if you watch all the cutscenes and, you know, how they talk to each other about this, that Jin has no honor anymore, whereas Lord Shimura is just a slave to honor. And it's really well done. It's really well done, but it gets to you. Definitely gets to you. So yeah, also get ready on time, like after the fight is done, we will make our choice. So get your last donations in if you want to. And then we'll see what happens. But yeah, first of all, a duel. Yeah, okay. That was fast. So we have to do the first phase of the duel like normally, like that. Okay, and from this point onward we should win by using the Dance of Wrath once again. Again, he has so much health that just using the 3 Dances of Wrath shouldn't be enough to get rid of. Oh no, it would have actually. Okay, so I guess we'll spare him one last.
We will.
All right, then get ready on time, and then we'll watch the cutscene and time. All right, let's watch this. there you have it, everybody. Music gets on him every time. But yeah, couple of quick shoutouts to the Ghost of Tsushima speedrun community. We are all very much looking forward to the release of Ghost of Yotei later this year in October. This will be a blast for sure, like, you know, the sequel to this game. If you want to see more of me, I have actually more runs in this marathon as well. Like in 2 days on Thursday, I will be running Clair Obscure Expedition 33 in the Expert Glitchless category, live right here on ESA Marathon 2. And you can also find me on Twitch at Ashmar with an underscore at the end if you want to see more, you know, samurai speedruns and a couple of other games as well. And of course, thank you so much for ESA for having me here. Thank you to all of you people. And of course, all of you, yes, you right there watching this, for donating towards, you know, all the polls that we are doing this. I definitely didn't think that Japanese was, you know, going to be that much in the lead over English. That definitely caught me by surprise. But thank you so much for doing this. Please keep donating towards Alzheimer Fonden and, you know, help us meeting all of the other targets, rewards, and whatever it is we have planned. And for now, we have Elden Ring coming up. I think it's 2-player randomizer of the DLC, which I definitely want to go ahead and see. So let's not wait around too much. Let's go to the intermission and then see Catalyst and Puppery suffering through that. See you soon, everybody.